Ah, just in time. Hello. Can you hear us?
Oops. Hello. Okay, I'm Janet. Can you hear me?
Can you turn yourself up or get closer to the volume, the mic?
Yes, let me just fix my
I'll turn you up on my end too.
one moment.
Okay. And once you're ready, we'll start. So again, since some of you are new here, some of you haven't been here much, really easy. I'll introduce the topic, I'll say hi to my guests, and then I'll let everyone have a brief, and I stress concise, introductory statement on the topic, and we'll get into it. Good? Cool. If you have trouble getting in, let me see your hands. Alpha hands, gang. None of this. Hey, I want to get in. I want to get in. No, none of that. And we'll get you in. Any questions? No? Okay. Then let's start this party. Welcome, 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 one and all, to yet another episode of WIC TV, a cross ideological space where we come together to talk about issues both political and cultural, from the silly to the serious. And, gang, we have a show for you today. We're taking a little break from all the world ending disasters that are happening around the globe to revisit a perennial topic: feminism, that old scourge. We're going to be talking about whether or not feminism has ruined interactions between men and women. There was a story about a woman who was at a Starbucks, and a man approached her, struck up a conversation. The wait staff sensed this was a threat and handed her a coffee cup that said if she was felt in danger to remove the lid. She did not. The lid was not removed. But it does bring up a question. Is a man simply approaching a woman these days seen as hostile or predatory? Are we not allowed to talk to the opposite sex anymore in a public setting? What is going on? Is feminism to blame, or is feminism the only cure for this? We're going to talk about this and more, and I have a lovely team assembled to do so. So, first off, first time on the WIC panel, uh, Brittany, that's how you want to be referred to, right?
Yeah, that's okay.
Brittany, go ahead. What you got?
Should I just do an introduction or should I just talk about my viewpoints?
Both. Go ahead. Tell people who you are and then your take on this. Go ahead.
So I'm Brittany, and this is my first time on this channel, or pretty much doing a panel debate. And my view on feminism is that it's shifted a lot from how it used to be. So, we used to have things that we were actually fighting for, like equal rights, equal pay, being treated fairly in the workplace. And now it's sort of shifted to this over sexualization of women and sort of exploiting your body to feel empowered. And when it comes to the whole Starbucks thing, I think it is difficult nowadays for men to approach women um, because of the fact that certain actions are seen as predatory behavior, even though they may be harmless. We've kind of gotten to that point in mainstream media where everything a male does is deemed predatory. So, yeah.
Well, thank you for being here, and I'm sure we'll get into it as we go. Next up, no stranger to the channel, no stranger to my heart. Fairy Queen, go ahead.
Right. Um, my take on the cup is very simple. I think it is a tad bit of an overreaction, but overall, I think it's a sweet and mostly harmless gesture in the coffee shop. I don't think that it was like in that of itself, if we're only talking about the coffee cup example. But as to the broader point, which about take on feminism, I think that feminism has certainly evolved, but I think that generally speaking, it has evolved for the better. It is my goal tonight, and I really want to get to the back and forth, to talk about how the perceptions of mainstream feminism are false. That in fact, many of these superficial, commercialized perspectives that we have on what feminism in the third and fourth ways are, is in fact a superficial understanding of what the great gains of feminism in the 21st and the late 20th century. And finally, as far as it being difficult for men to approach because certain actions might seem predatory, in my opinion, you can find examples of countries which are very non-feminist, which also have paternalistic views on protecting on women. And we can get into more of that in the back and forth.
Okay, well, thank you for being here. We'll get into it. First time guest, another first time guest on my channel, Johnny. Hit us.
Hey, what's up? So in terms of the coffee shop thing, yeah, I think that was definitely blown completely out of proportion. As for feminism in general, I hold like early feminism in high regard, but once we've gotten to third and fourth wave feminism, modern day, um, I think the pendulum's just swung too far in the wrong direction, and now we are seeing a lot of damage in between male and female relationships. Just for a variety of reasons. I'm sure we'll get into it. So yeah, just leave it there.
Short and sweet and to the point. We love it. We love to see it. Thanks for being here, and I am sure we'll get into it as we go. Next up, second time on my show,
Mhm.
Mooncake. What you got?
Yeah, so yeah, second time on the show. Thank you again. Just relating to the Starbucks story, I actually think it was perfectly fine. She didn't embarrass him. She didn't make a scene about it. It seems like the Starbucks employee maybe noticed something, and so she just wrote on the cup like, "Hey, if you need anything, take it off for me." I don't think that's an overreaction, especially if you are perceiving a situation to be odd. Um, I think we'd all hope if we are in a poor situation, somebody would help us. I also think, and we'll get more into it later, but this idea that new age feminism is bad, I think is really concerning because I think it helps us in a lot of ways. But we'll probably just get into that as we go back and forth.
You know what? I'm very impressed with the conciseness. Usually I have to tone people down, but great. We're going really well so far. Let's hope it keeps up. Mr. Hammer, don't let us down. What you got? Concise intro.
Okay, I guess my concise intro is that if you look in the past, say what you want about gender dynamics, people were dating and it was working. And now you really can't deny that it's not working. People aren't getting into relationships. And a lot of the things that made it work in the past have gone or they're being criticized and they're being like hit by feminism and they don't really have any new solutions for those things. And that's my intro.
Works for me. We'll get into it as we go. Last but certainly not least, and no stranger to the show,
Yeah.
Omar. What you got?
Hey, Rick, how are you? I want to thank you again for having me back after I messed up the last night. Before the show's over, all the women going to hate me, so because I have a different take on the things. First of all, I think the person in the Starbucks overreacted. I don't think somebody's going to sexually harass somebody inside a busy coffee shop like Starbucks. They just had nothing to do. They had a lot of times on their hand. I could see if they're in a subway station or in an alleyway or anything of that nature. Second of all, feminism has destroyed not only the men, well, definitely has been decimated, even the women. Women have no self worth. They ended up lonely with no children. They're chasing that big bag. They're chasing that number one, the top 10, whatever of the men. They end up lonely or end up having to pick someone at the end that they don't really like. And the whole idea is that look what's going on. The only fan, the porn industry, is all women. Women have been. Let's just go through, and we're going later on to that. Okay, good.
Okay. Well, then, let's get to the open back and forth discussion. On one side, feminism is destroying dating, and the other side, no, it's not. So we'll see how it
Snitch.
goes. Floor is yours, gang. Not all at once.
Oh, okay. You want to start? Well, okay. From the beginning, the feminist movement was the product of corporate America and Hollywood. They wanted to bring out the women from the home so they could saturate the marketplace with workers, cheap workers, and cheapen and have husband and wife competing for the same job. Because if you see the income in the late 1960s, the male breadwinner is making the same thing, about 80,000. Will be 80,000 in today's money that the two people are making right now. So it was a simple contract between men and women. Men were to provide security, financial and physical, and make sure that everybody well taken. The wife was able to provide sex and raise the children and watch and raise the household. Now we don't have nothing. Men are in disarray. They're losing all over the place. Women are killing it in the college and the degrees, and they're making more income now. But income for what? Because once they make money and a lot of income, they're not looking downward or marry within people down their income range. So they end up waiting for that rich guy or that person who makes the same money they do, and they end up lonely or without any men. That's what feminism is.
Do we
Can
agree?
I just ask a question, and I think that we really need to narrow this down. So
Yeah.
I understand that when we say the word feminism, that everybody has a kind of blend of images that come up, right? We think of me. You probably might think of the Barbie movie, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, right? What is it very specifically that you mean, Omar, when you say feminism? What does that mean? What's your definition of feminism?
Well, feminism is that turn women into men, where men are competing with their husbands or their other halves in the job market. Every morning that a feminist woman will get up, she'll get on the train, and her husband will get on the bus. Children are not raised well for 12 hours to 10 hours while they work. I don't mind if there was feminism for the right to vote, to be represented. That's
Mhm.
good. That's good. That's good. But when it comes on to the point where it is tragically destroying the male aspect of the dynamic, as you can see, uh, men are
Well,
8 times
a
more
quick
likely to
question.
commit suicide. Go ahead.
I hate to interrupt you, but I just want to clarify. And in your opinion, the feminist movement began when?
Uh,
What time period?
in
What date?
around the 1960s, the first thing they do was introduce the what do you call it, the pill, what's the birth control pill in 1963 that told women, listen, now you could have sex, you don't have to have children, you control your reproductive thing. And then in the 1970s, they started with the women liberation movement, or now what is called the National Organization of Women, where they started fantasizing through the media. You have the Mary Taylor show, remember, about this woman living alone in the city, works with men. She's successful, she's funny, she's beautiful. That was creating that aspect that women could live alone and not need men anymore. Then they came out with the 9 to 5 movie with Dolly Parton. They conditioned the women. They made the
Okay.
women, not only did they made the women see the men as an enemy. What are you liberating yourself from? From your husband? From your children?
Okay,
What
so let's
liberation?
just I have to stop this, okay?
Yeah.
Because you stated something that is not factually true. Like it is not true that the first feminist movement began in 1960. That is just factually true. There were many feminists prior to 1962 that
Suffrage
had
movement.
that were okay, like Charlotte Perkins Gilman is an example of one. Elizabeth Cady Stanton is an example of one. Susan, I mean, these are not like Virginia Woolf is an example of a feminist prior to all of these people, right? Prior even to like women getting the vote. I mean, we can go all the way back to Mary Wollstonecraft and John Stuart Mill as examples of feminists that existed long before long before the
Was
1960s, right?
was it mass
I'm not sure
produced?
why. So it's what this proves though is that like what you're saying is that like the feminist movement is everything that has happened from post 1960, right? And I just want to counter that and prove very clearly that's obviously not true. And we have plenty of like texts that can go to show that that's
Sorry,
not true.
just
Yeah,
to
but I
clarify.
mean, would you consider the feminist movement starting that early? Because, yeah, I agree that there were definitely strong feminists that eventually people looked up to, people built off of and stuff. But I wouldn't say a feminist movement itself is just a few people going as far back in history as we can. Would you agree with
That
that?
That's fair to say. So it's probably
Okay.
fair to say that a feminist movement probably did not exist as far back as John Stuart Mill. But it's not true
Yes.
that the ideas of feminism only
No,
sprung up,
no, 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 no.
right?
And yeah, from my perspective, I'm not saying that feminists have hurt relationship. It's for me like the modern feminist
Yeah,
Well,
movement.
I wanna bring this, right, from a history lesson, which is important, but I wanna talk about how it's affecting us today. And if I may, I'll just simple question to the guys here, right? So, Hammer, I'll start with you. Do you
Okay.
feel safe, or do you feel comfortable, I should say, Matt, safe's not the right word. Do you feel comfortable approaching women in public?
Um, well, definitely not comfortable. And in terms of safety, it's it's I probably wouldn't go as far as some people to say like if I approach a woman then I'm going to get thrown in jail for rape. It's probably pretty low chances, but the thing that disturbs me about these kinds of things is that if like about the coffee cup example, if something happened where he just hit on her and he was a little bit like maybe he didn't read social cues and she took off the cup and they created an issue with it, and then what if like I don't I'm it's kind of concerning how far that would go. What if they got the police involved? What if he got a criminal record? What if he got charges pressed against him? A lot of times these things can get overblown and there's no really like there's really no stopper for these kinds of things. There's no like, hey, we're taking these things a little bit too far. Hey, the situation is like not okay. Like, say what you want about feminism, like you can't just say that like promoting feminism in every case and being pro feminism in every case is always the answer.
Uh, if I could just jump in there, I think
Please.
that we're being like a little bit dishonest. Just like if we're being honest, all she did was write on the cup, "Hey, are you okay?" We weren't there, so we don't know if this guy seemed a little off, if he just seemed a little weird. Maybe she got a weird vibe. Maybe the girl he was talking to was looking around, didn't know what to do. Because I think most women have had situations where men come up to them, they feel a little uncomfortable. They don't really want to talk to him, but they also want to be nice. I think the Starbucks employee handled it really well. She didn't kick him out. She didn't say anything to him. She wrote on the cup. Nothing happened. Also, you can't just get arrested for talking to somebody. So this idea that he could have gotten charged or arrested, no, that's not going to happen unless he does something. Um, if she would have taken the top off, maybe she would have told her to go to the back, right? Hey, just leave me alone. People can be assaulted in public places, in private places. It doesn't matter where you are. So I think that's just something we do have to consider.
Well, can I go? Okay,
Yeah, feel free to
yeah,
respond, gang.
yeah,
What's
yeah,
look,
yeah,
hold on, hold on. I'm trying to
l-
get you guys to like
no, no,
loosen up, right?
yeah, I'm
Maybe,
gonna loosen
maybe
up. I'm gonna,
soldiers just
but I'm afraid
throw some pose, get on in there, right?
no, no,
Let's go.
you know, I'm
High
afraid
energy.
to loosen too much and get kicked out. The whole idea, I'm not worried about what do you call the Starbucks incident. The whole idea is men between the age of 18 to 30 are either unemployed or have no access to the vagina market, have not had sex, or either are virgins, or don't have no income, or don't have the education that is in contrast to the women. Women are more educated by the age 30. They have better income. They're more well established in this
But
time.
that's men's fault. That's
No,
men's fault.
hold on. I want to
Wait,
get it.
how's that men's fault?
Hold
Oh, I'm
on,
sorry.
hold on. Let me finish my thought.
No,
Okay,
let's
guys.
finish, but I want this back and forth
The
too.
whole idea is not about approaching women. Men are not confident to approach these successful women, and women are not looking for these men. They are looking for women who are older or have more income than they do. That's why you have the incel movement. They can't even access the vagina market. They go nuts. They turn to terrorism, and you have people, men are committing suicide. Out of 10 suicide, 8 are men. And you have men at that age, young, living their mother's basements, playing video games, or high. The men have been destroyed not only by society and emasculated by society that called you're toxic. Oh, you're anti-woman. Oh, you're this, you're that. Men have been burnt for a long time, and they are paying the price for the feminism. So is women, but women don't realize it that feminism has turned them into just 304s. Told you you're ugly, you have to get new breasts, you have to get a new ass, you have to get new lips. They have made you just another a product like Ford Motor Company. You're not a woman no more. You understand?
Okay.
Good.
And
So
you're just talking
I want
consumerism
I
at
want to
that
hear
point. That's
from
not really
Brittany.
feminism.
I want to hear
yeah,
from Brittany,
so
then I want to hear from I want Mooncakes to answer the question that was asked to her. But Brittany, then Mooncakes, and then I see
yeah,
you, Johnny. Don't worry.
so there's a couple points. So I do agree that modern day feminism, like my stance on it, is that it's gone into a very different route than what it was before. But to your point, yeah, the empowered man, sorry, is that you're sort of blaming women for men's downfall, right? Men seemingly want a beautiful woman who wants to stay at home. Like they want a traditional woman. A lot of men want traditional women, right? Women now they have access to education, they have access to resources, so they're able to level up and earn, their place in society. And I think that's intimidating to a lot of men, right? Which is causing this shift in dynamic. Women are not like they don't have to support on men anymore, which is fine. But you can't say that you want a traditional woman, but you don't want a woman to look at your income, right? For me, for example, I don't mind dating out of my tax bracket or dating a lower income man or a higher income man. It's not about that. It's about the personality and the person you're with, right? But this generalized idea that women are the downfall of men and they can't get vagina because women don't want to deal with men living in their mom's basement. How is that the women's fault that they don't have ambitions or goals or something to look forward to? You can't blame women. You have to blame the mindset of the person who's staying in that dynamic.
It's destructive to both sexes. If you don't have a strong, successful male to counterpoint a strong females, then you have no society. What do you guys want? What do you want to run around without
To
no?
make the penis
What
port
do you
more
want to?
attractive. Otherwise, nobody's gonna come. That's what, right?
No, no, no.
Because the answer is if you
You're
want people to
you're not.
engage, listen, you use the metaphor of the vagina market. It's only fair,
Wait, I
folks,
have a
okay?
question.
Women are.
Listen,
Because it seems like you want women to settle, right? You want them to
No,
settle for, hey, this is what I have
and
to
you want your
offer,
right shift
and
to
you
be female
take
for the
it,
moment.
right? And I don't
Can I
think
cut
that's
in?
fair for having women settle for that sort of standard when
she's
it's
not settled.
not real life.
What's your success? What did you succeed at? Nothing. What do you make more money? You're all alone, lonely. You got a cat and a dog in the house. You're chasing that high value man. You're never gonna get him. But
But not every woman is chasing a high value man. A woman chases
hold
companionship.
on. Have a woman between the age, I think, of 18 to 39, 24 to 39, have no children. When are you gonna have children? When you're 50? What's wrong with you? You're not gonna have a society. We are still animals in the sense of animal in the animal kingdom. We have to reproduce. We have to have the family unit. You have to raise the next generation. If you can't raise the next generation, you're not gonna have a nation. You're not gonna have a
And that's
society. What are you gonna do with the
and
money?
that's
Eat it?
and that's and that's fair, but I also think that men also want this lifestyle where they want women to stay at home, but they also want their women to go 50-50. If you're willing to provide
Oh,
that lifestyle for your woman
I don't
to
want
be
no.
100,
I've
you're
never
gonna
heard
be
that
at home.
Well,
before.
I don't
She's
want no
gonna be at
woman.
home.
That's a lie.
Wait,
Do you think when we go out on a date, oh, how much money you making, Stacy? Huh? How much? What degree do you have? I don't
That's
care.
if people are asking that, that's crazy. If
Well,
you're
this guy,
asking how much it
these
makes
are
women.
low
Wait,
lives.
wait, no.
I
I'm
don't want
tired of
your
this political
money.
talking point.
I don't
It's
want your
not true,
money.
okay?
Okay,
I don't
It's
want your
not true.
money.
It's not
okay,
true.
I
It
don't
is
want your.
only true for men in a
Hold on.
very
I don't want
specific
your
class.
stop,
money.
stop,
Hold
stop,
on, one
stop.
second.
True.
One second.
okay.
Only
Can
Stop
true
I?
for
one at a
men
time.
in
No one can
a
hear either one of you.
I don't want
Okay,
your
Very,
money. I don't want your education. I want
we got it,
you.
Omar.
I
We
want.
got it. We
I
got it.
want
We
a
got it.
you
Okay,
need
wife.
okay,
to stop
yeah.
saying this over and over again because I'm tired of hearing this, okay? And it's just not true. It's only true for some men and some people in some socioeconomic brackets, okay?
Yeah.
If you're somebody who's new money and you come from and you worked really hard, you probably don't care, right?
Are you
If you're
married?
somebody like Elon Musk, you don't care.
Are you,
However, if you come from old money, if you
Yes.
are of the Clintons, if you're the Obamas, if you're
Yes.
somebody that's of Upper East New York and you go, people in upper and class and upper middle class do not date like people in middle class and people of lower
yeah.
class. They do not date this way.
That's what
They
I
date
said.
people like that's very true. Are you kidding me? Do you think Hillary Clinton could just bring like somebody like Elon Musk ripping through the Rose Garden with his
She's too old.
Lamborghini, his
70 is
$10,000
old.
pinking ring, and he could knock it on the table?
What I'm saying
What
that
do you think
women,
happened? And the
women.
reverse of this isn't true either, by the way, okay?
What I'm saying.
President Obama could not marry somebody like Kim Kardashian to be his wife. He had to have Michelle to
She's
be
a
the first
hoe.
lady. That's simply the way it is.
That's a
When you
hoe.
are somebody, no, listen, if you don't care about being somebody who has significant political power, if you don't care about being in the upper
You
class or upper
think
middle class, if that's not something
you
you care about, then sure, that is true.
stop?
But then you lose out on receiving respect from
Hold
your
on.
community. It's a huge deal.
Do you, do
People
you,
in upper middle class, they
do
care
you,
about what
do you
jobs you
think that
have.
Kim?
They care about like
Do
how
you
you
think
make your money.
Do you think Kim Kardashian is a role model? She's a hoe. Who the hell wants that? I won't even
Okay,
touch her.
okay. We got to get other
Okay,
people in.
okay.
We got to get
Huh?
other people in.
Yes,
We got to get other
please.
people in.
So
Go ahead, Hammer,
Are you
and I see
married?
you,
I bet
Mooncake.
you
I
don't have
see you,
nobody.
Johnny.
Are you married?
Okay,
I can't see
okay.
the names. Why can't I see the names? Everybody sees the names except me.
You
Just
gotta move
mouse,
your mouse over
mouse.
the Discord.
Yeah, mouse over there. Okay, okay. I have a question for. Okay, so
Ah,
all
okay.
all three of you have said that you want to upgrade the penis market. You want men who have ambition, men who aren't living with their moms, right? Is that correct?
Okay,
You're
no.
shaking your head.
No.
Wait,
Okay,
that's what you
listen,
said.
listen,
No,
listen.
that's not what was said. I was
Nothing.
saying that
Brother.
women have resources and opportunities now, right? If the man doesn't have ambition, he's living in his mom's basement, that's not based on what a woman did. That's based on his own personal decisions.
Ain't
Has
no
nothing to do with me. If you decide you want to stay in
Okay,
your mom's
okay.
basement and play video games, how does that affect me? Well, did I tell you to go in your mom's basement and play video games? No, you have to
You don't
have that mindset. Like, okay, I want to upgrade my life. I want to go to
Okay.
school. I want to get a career. I want to do something with my life. That has nothing to do with what a woman
Yeah,
says to you or
But that's
what
not what
she's
we're
doing with
talking
her
about.
life.
That's not what we're not talking about. Wait, no.
Go ahead.
What
Hammer,
are we talking
Hammer. I want to hear
about?
from Hammer. Go ahead.
What we're
Go ahead.
talking about is whether or not women are selecting men. We're not talking about blaming men for their own decisions. We're talking about like whether or not you want a man with ambition, whether or not you want a man with money, whether you or not you want a man with resources. So, as women, are you admitting that that's something that you're looking for?
No.
Women date
For
No,
upward.
me,
you don't care. So you don't care either
personally,
way.
personally for me, right? When I'm looking for companionship, I'm looking for what we have in common. If I'm doing better than you in life, my goal is to help you get to where I am. I want to help you succeed. I want to help you achieve your goals. I'm not here to select the best looking man or the man with the highest value or the man with the most
Oh,
money. That's
yes,
not
you
what I'm
are.
looking for.
Oh, yes, you are.
No,
Okay,
Well,
true.
no, that's kind of what you're saying,
Yes, you
right?
are.
Because
Not
you're looking.
you, but the majority are. Women
No,
don't.
but like,
Hold on, Hammer. Just 1 second.
Omar, you got to let other people
I'm
get
just
in.
yeah,
You've
talking.
got to.
All
I
right, go
promise
ahead.
we'll
okay,
get to
okay,
you.
but
I
what?
promise we'll get to you, but you gotta cool your
Go
jets a
ahead.
little
Go
bit.
ahead. Go ahead, Hammer.
But based off of what you just said, you said you're looking for a man. He doesn't have to have high value, but you want to push him to have high value. That means that
Yes.
necessarily you need to find a man who at least has potential, who's at least willing to have high value. So that's always going to be something that you're
okay.
looking for.
But
No,
at the end of the day,
no,
Look,
everybody has potential. And when you're in a relationship, is to make the relationship stronger, right? You're not in a relationship to bring somebody down. You're
I
in a
don't think
relationship to
so.
build that other person. You want to bring
I
down
think
your
there.
partner.
No,
I
I
want
think
to
there are
hear
people who
from
are.
just finish your thought, but I also want to hear from Mooncakes and Fairy Queen. Go ahead. And I
I
see you,
think
Johnny.
there.
I see you. We'll get you in there. Don't be afraid to throw bows either.
I'm
I
just
think.
enjoying this right now,
Okay,
so
fair
we're
enough.
good.
I think there are plenty of people who are willing to accept like what you call mediocre average lives, like people who are just like, I don't know, want to be like a cook or like a you know blue collar laborer, like basic people
Yeah,
like that. And
100%.
okay, but like again, so is that like fine for you? Are you literally only talking about men who live in their mom's basements? Because that's not the majority of men who are complaining right now.
The only reason I brought up men who live in their mom's basements is because the empowered man brought up men who live in their mom's basements. And I'm using that as an example, right? If I were to date a man who lived in his mom's basement, then yes, we would work together as a team to build, buy a house, have a family, raise our kids. That would be the goal in a relationship. The relationship is not for you to do better than me or me to do better than you, right? Because at that point, it's not a relationship. That's a one-sided relationship. You think you're better than the other person. And I don't think that's fair.
It's a well-known fact that women date upward. They don't date downward. Women.
That's not true.
Hold on. Let me finish. No, the statistic says it. Not true because maybe you're not. But most women don't marry below. Women are not providers by nature. They're selfish. They don't share. They don't share their wealth or their money. Only maybe with their children. They'll never share or have a husband who doesn't have. You think a
I
woman?
don't think that's
Listen,
true.
I've been married such a long time. My wife is a housewife. You think if it was the opposite? You think she's gonna say, "Well, Omar, stay home, watch TV, and knit a little bit, and I'm going to go to work every day for 20 years until my heart explodes in my chest." We have no issue to provide. You can't. Women are not providers by nature. You are selfish beings, and the whole idea right now
Okay,
is
let's talk to some of the selfish beings who probably want to get in on this. Selfish
Especially
being number one, Mooncake. What are your thoughts?
Sorry, I was just going back to Brittany's point before, but yeah, like this idea of, and I think when people hear the word like ambition or you try to level somebody up, it's this idea that they're already not good enough. What we're just saying is, if even if you're a cook, why not be the best cook in your restaurant, right? Why not be the
yeah,
best person you can be? Let's just be real, right? Everyone wants a traditional life, but you also don't want a guy who's not even trying, who's just like sitting at home and is okay just like living a certain way, right? Not everyone's going to be okay with it, and that's fine. Also, women don't always select the high value man or somebody like of higher stature. We tend to date people in our social classes. If you
yeah.
go to university, you're going to meet people in your university,
yeah,
right? You tend to date people even in your job. Usually, if people's an engineer, they'll probably maybe even date another engineer. It's just proximity. So this idea that we're all fighting for the same exact man is just not true.
Yeah.
It just isn't.
80% of divorce is initiated by you girls because you're greedy.
yeah,
Yeah,
but that's
but
because
why is
most
that
often
different
they have
here?
to file for
Yeah.
divorce because their husbands leave them with the children. They don't care about
Yeah,
filing. That's
please
usually
don't throw
You're
that
filing a
rate in here. It's
divorce
why.
because
useless.
you're the
Just
selfish
don't give a damn
beings.
about filing, okay? Somebody's got to pull the paperwork, and they have to
Yep.
do it because
Because
they have to have the
eighty
benefits and the
percent,
resources because they're usually abandoned with children to
men,
provide for them, and that's why.
men don't initiate divorce because they lose out because
They
they have to
they
pay.
initiate abandonment and they leave their wives and they leave their children behind to go off with somebody else, and that's why. And so they don't initiate it
No,
because they don't care to
we
initiate
talking
it.
about
They
normal.
don't get the same
We're not
benefits
talking
out of
about.
initiating
We're not talking
divorce.
about.
Women have to rely upon child support to support their children that they're left with alimony to help to support themselves,
Of
which is a
course,
pitiful
because they make
pittance order.
money. They get divorced and
Well, we know what
they get
happens when divorce
alimony.
happens.
They
What
get.
happens when divorce
Hold
happens is
on,
that
hold
you go
on,
straight down the poverty line
hold on.
as a woman. If you are a single mom with
You.
small kids, that's what that
Uh,
means. The reason why they file for
I'm willing.
divorce is
I
because
bet
they
she's
rely
not
upon
married.
those
I bet
benefits
you don't
from
have a
divorce
man. listen, you women.
I bet you're not going to stay married very long, and if you
No,
keep
no.
talking like that.
Oh, I've been married a long time. I got kids. I know how to raise my
Okay.
family. I'm probably the most stable thing in society. Hold on, let me respond for a minute there.
For a minute,
What's his name? What I was
concisely,
gonna say,
concisely.
she
We
stole my.
want
They
back
they
and
they
forth, not
they
lecture.
initiate divorce on the basis of sometimes they make more money from getting divorced. They get alimony, they get the house, and the douchebag like me get kicked out of the house and sleep in his car. You see how many men are kicked out of their homes because women initiate divorce because they see it more profitable to get rid of the man than to have him in
Regular
the
men,
house.
I,
Okay?
regular men are not paying
when
alimony. They're
yes,
not paying
and
alimony. They're
also
not paying child support.
Huh?
They
when a woman's first option is never divorce. There's steps that lead to
Eighty
divorce, and
percent
if those things
is
aren't being
initiated by
fixed,
women. 80%. That's weird, isn't it?
because they probably exhausted every other option. The last final option
Yeah.
is divorce. They probably asked for everything else and they are not receiving it. And the last option is this is not going to work. I'm not going to be unhappy. I want to be happy for my children. I need to leave this person. There's counseling, there's therapy, there's talking it out, and some of those things are ignored until divorce happened. Then it's, oh my gosh, what happened? I told you everything that I needed, it wasn't given to me, it wasn't provided. And then what happens is divorce happens.
The whole idea is that women usually end 1/4 of women end up in their 50s with a cat and a dog and they puzzles or the New York Times puzzle.
I don't know what to
Probably.
tell you,
And,
man.
You
I
and,
mean,
could
and the
most
you could
rest,
probably say
hold on, hold on,
90% of
and the
80-year-olds
and the
have a
rest,
dog.
and the
men
rest.
in divorce,
Wait,
and they
hold
and they
on, hold
choose
on,
to
and
file
the,
anyway. Why would they do that though?
hold
And the
on,
only reason why you're paying alimony is because men tend to
hold
make
on,
more money than
and the
women.
and
When
the re-
women make more
and
money
the
and they have a
rest
higher salary than men, they are the
and
ones
the
that pay
rest.
alimony than men. That's how it
Exactly.
works. It's whoever has more higher income. It's not based
No,
off of
no,
gender.
when women
And you
start,
don't get to have it both ways, by the way. You want women to go all the way down to not focus on work, to not have lots of money, but at the same time, you also want it to be the same case that, oh, you should marry. Why are you marrying the biggest, richest man you can
you're
possibly
not gonna
find?
get him.
Right?
That's the
What
problem.
about
You're
the
not
man?
gonna get him. You're not gonna get that
Listen,
guy.
this is the
You
reality,
never
okay?
do. You never do.
If you don't want men to get fucked over,
You
screwing
chase
over
that
all
bag.
of their money to
You
their
chase
wives when
that
they divorce
bag.
them, you
You
should be
chase that
stealing
bag
women getting
until you
more
get
money. Yes,
old.
divorce men.
Listen. You
Yes,
chase that
please. Let's
man,
get all the
or you can
alimony
you
money,
can build a
right?
store you want. This is what I'm talking about. That's why the
This is
men
what I'm talking about. This is the other
that's what
hypocrisy here,
see.
friends, okay? The penis port is
This is
looking less
feminism
golden by the
101.
minute.
That's
Somebody
feminism
help out.
101. She
Where's
look,
our
look
lighthouse,
at her.
please?
Look at
Okay,
that.
Wait,
Look
can
at
I ask
enough,
what
her.
you mean by
enough,
that?
That's
Wait.
that's
enough,
feminism
enough,
101 right there. Look at her, she's barking. She's an alpha
enough,
male right there.
enough,
That's not a
This
woman.
is
enough,
That's a
hilarious.
man right
enough,
This is
there.
enough.
amazing.
I want to get Johnny, who's been trying to get in, who hasn't said much. Then I want to go to Hammer, and then we'll carry it on. Johnny,
See the
go
name.
ahead.
Chinese
Yeah, so
queen.
this whole divorce rate thing, yeah, that's kind of just I'm on the girl's side on this one. That's just a stupid statistic. That has nothing to do with it. For me, then all this, I don't agree with the guys either that all these women are just trying to get the highest value men either. That's
Yeah.
not
I
how
didn't
it
say that.
works.
Oh yes, they are.
But the problem I see is that we have gone with more modern feminism. This is where my problem lies, is that we have raised girls from a young age to be self-sufficient, independent, which is great. I'm not saying that's not good at all. But by the same time that we've been doing that, men have been pushed aside a little bit. That's why we do see
Can you give me an
drastic
example of that,
increase.
of men being
What?
pushed aside? Can you give me an example of men being
Yeah,
pushed
yeah, I'm
aside?
going into that. Yeah,
Oh,
like so
please.
we can look at the most common studies is that you look at college graduation rates. It's not that just women are overtaking men; it's that less men are going into college as well.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
also see that the high loneliness is up across the board. Men's is a little bit higher, but it is men and women. Same with suicide rates and stuff like that. So I'm looking at feminism and I'm looking at very specific examples of the hyper independence, the hyper sexualization, girl boss, I don't need a man type
She's
stuff.
right next to you. Right down the
And
street.
then you also got the whole, we do have it that some men, especially in professional spaces, I say, or even just friendly spaces, men feel like they have to be more careful because I do feel accusations come out more now, fair or
Do
not.
you think that's a
Yes.
bad thing?
Yeah.
False accusations, yes, I do think that's a bad
Not
thing.
false accusations,
But
the
I
fact
think
that there
there's
are more
probably
accusations.
minor infractions, I would say, that
What's an example, if I could, just to understand, what's an example of a minor infraction that you feel that someone has been fired over or lost their job over or canceled over, whatever word you want to use
Yeah,
here? Um,
anything. A woman can put
Yeah,
her
I
husband to
mean,
jail. She could just call, "Oh, he smacked me." Even if it's a lie, they still take you to jail in New York City. Even
no,
if she,
no, they
That
don't.
has happened.
No,
even if
that's
she
I mean,
changes
that
her
has
discrimination.
mind,
happened before.
even if
Yeah,
she
but
changes her
you're
mind,
just
still take
you're
you to
reaching
jail.
for
I'm
small
serious.
example outliers that don't represent the majority here.
Kind of.
I'm
Well,
talking
the
about just like,
okay.
say, like in an office space, it
Of-
can be little things that I don't know that they get fired,
I
but
can
they
tell you.
would have their reputation damaged at the job or anything like
sure.
that.
What would they do?
Little
What's an
little
example?
remarks, just saying how if they think someone's pretty, beautiful, they say that girl might not feel comfortable, but if she doesn't say anything and he does it again, then it could become a
Ask,
problem. Little things, as it used to be very common for you to put
ask,
like the hand on the small of people's back to kind of guide them.
yeah.
That's even iffy anymore. So there are boundaries that have basically, with the modern feminism, been extended. And I don't know, it doesn't seem like they're stopping to extend.
I want to ask Fairy Queen a question. Can you be
Well,
honest
no,
with
no,
me?
no. We'll get to you again.
I want to ask you a question.
Trust,
Listen, are you
trust. Omar,
married?
stop,
I
Omar,
want
please.
to
No, we got to
respond.
get to other people. Please, please. We have to make this a discussion. Okay. Hammer wanted in a little bit, and then mooncakes, and then that's where we'll go.
All right.
Oh, let's see. Very quick. You said something about how the golden penis markers is
Was a
decreasing or
joke.
something about that. Are you talking about like in general, men are seeming, or just are you just talking about Omar?
I was making a side comment at Omar. If you want, I can seriously answer the question to you.
Yeah,
You being not serious with
because
me? I don't count.
no,
You said
what
a
I'm
lot of vulgar things tonight, my friend. I don't know that I
yeah,
really. Okay, but
what I'm
Hammer,
asking
what's
about. Yeah, what I'm asking about is the general idea, because I've heard this a lot that maybe not you, but a lot of women are talking about how men are like overall less valuable, and but they never really get like talk about why that is specifically. So if you could like, do you agree? Do you see why they're talking about that?
I mean, I think that it is that. So I don't know. So I'm just going to be open with you. I'm not entirely sure. I can't speak for all other women, like all of their experiences. I can only tell you like what my experience is and from what I've seen. So, in my opinion, a lot of men say that they are willing to cut 50-50 and they say that they are willing to have more back to make things more equitable, but in practice they aren't really, right? So a good example would be paying for a first date, right? Always offer to pay every single time. I always offer to pay and he always offers to pay back. And usually speaking, the reason why he winds up paying is not because I wouldn't be happy to pay or wouldn't be happy to pay for all of our dates. It's because if he doesn't wind up paying, he winds up becoming upset.
Dates?
Generally
What are you
speaking,
talking
the
about?
reason
Dates?
why why I do that personally is because I've noticed that like when I do things like that, when I have gone through with things like that, the other man typically doesn't like that. So I've know what my assumption is based off of that and off of some past dating experiences that there are many examples of things like that that are considered to be feminine roles that men are not willing to take. And I don't mean feminine as in you have to like wear makeup or lipstick or anything like that, right? I just mean like you would be upset with me if I were to pay for something. You would be upset with me if I make more money than you. You
And
would
I
be upset
promise you, I
part of me, have
promise you,
more.
if you guys pay for me by donating and subbing to the channel, I will not be upset. So
Oh my
continue,
gosh.
please.
This is
Subs,
also
donos, bits,
Okay.
but
all
Listen,
this is
that.
like
Okay.
more
my
Super
seriously,
chats.
advice,
like you're talking
Feminine
about like
man,
my
feminine man.
my advice
like
to
you were
men
talking
is
well, but
the
like you were
first
talking
date.
earlier about like well Omar, listen, I'll get to you, my dear, but I have to talk to
You
everyone,
scare
okay?
me.
You wait your turn, okay? All right, but Hammer, to answer you more seriously, right? Like I think we've talked a lot about how women try to find men that have roughly their same level of education. A big part of that is not just because it's not because of hypergamy. It's not because you need the best, highest value man. It's because oftentimes when you date men that have less education than you or make less money than you or are in a less better position than you, they wind up feeling competitive with you. They're not happy with you. They get angry at you. They like it
Women,
causes friction in the relationship. Where the reverse, if you make less money or like have less education, it doesn't. Right? I've even had conversations with ex partners that want to beat me in debates. Right? They want to prove that they're more intelligent than me. Right? As a way of feeling more masculine. Right?
you know,
And
but
so I think that like the answer to this is twofold. Number one, I think that a lot more women, I think that there is some truth to the idea that there are a lot of women that do care too much about income and
Can I
do
say
care too
something?
much about trying.
All right, all
And I
right.
think that women have to should be willing to pay for dates. You should be willing to take responsibility for yourself to be an equitable partner. But the flip side of that is that you need to be open to receiving that, right? You need to be open to sometimes cleaning the kitchen and baking cookies, right? You need to be open to sometimes allowing me to pay for things and to taking charge in some things, right? It has to be a back and forth, right? It's not an either or, right? Ultimately, I think it should be a partnership on what works best.
It's vice
Okay,
versa.
I have
Hold
two
on.
things to say. I have two things, two responses to that. First of all,
And
is
then we're
just
going to
like,
mooncakes after that, but yeah.
okay, yeah. First of all, is just where do you think that comes from? The idea that men feel that they need to like prove their masculinity and prove their like masculine value, because in traditionally these things would be seen as like value towards dating if you are like smarter or more educated or more making more money. So where do you think the urge for men to prove those things to the person they're like dating comes from? And second of all, is how do we approach those problems? I feel like there's like this kind of urge to just say that like, oh well, men are just acting wrong. They don't know how to act. They're acting bad. They're toxic masculinity. Men just act wrong. And
I don't
I think that's like I don't think we're gonna get anywhere with that
Yeah,
personally.
look at that energy she's bringing out. She's
I
scared.
think that telling somebody just to go to the gym and work out more and to make more money is not going to be sufficient to getting you a girlfriend, honestly. It has to be more than that. Where did these ideas come from? The short answer is I don't know, right? I mean, I can guess with you, we can try to hypothesize and I could try to pull something out of thin air, right? And I promise you I could pull up statistics in some books that I've read, but in my opinion, from what I have seen, oftentimes men do these performative masculine like acts not so much for their partners in one-on-one relationships, but more so because of how the rest of society views them, right? More so they're performing for other men. It's part of the reason. They want to show off the fact that they are big masculine men who are able to have this beautiful trophy girlfriend, right? They want to fit the image. And so it's less about relating to me and listening to me and what I want, and more about trying to fit into a role that you want, how you want the rest of society to view you, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
it's just cultural
I,
norms passed down from
You are
generation to
well,
generation
you are
that
I
we
think
haven't
that
been
I
able to
think
fix.
I think that communicates like a really I've heard that before that like even like the men want to impress other men. I think that communicates like a really deep misunderstanding of men. I think I agree that these are socially taught, that these are like ingrained in your mind that these are what you're supposed to do. But I don't think the purpose, I don't think the end goal for these guys is to impress the boys or impress society. I really do think that in like a twisted subconscious way, they really are trying to impress the person they're with. They're trying to impress the opposite sex. And that's what
yeah.
I would say. I would say it's a lot more simple than like, well, where does this come from historically? I think where does it come from? I think it just comes from you want to impress the person you're with, and I think that's why these guys are acting the way they
Okay,
are.
I wanna Omar, I see you, but I wanna hear from mooncakes, and then
Um,
and then we'll go to you, Omar.
No,
Promise.
sorry.
Oh.
Just to jump in there, just kind of responding to what Hammer was saying. I think we need to get to a point where this might be controversial, but we need to tell men to do better. And by when I say do better, I mean like as I think someone mentioned here, the college rates, right? They're not going to college. Like what happened to that, right? More men need to be enrolled. What's going on? How do we solve those issues, right? Modern day feminism also makes it easier on men to talk about their feelings. That's why I think it's such a
I
positive,
disagree.
right?
yeah,
I
that's the problem. No
I don't
feelings.
disagree at all. Listen, I personally like when men are emotional, they talk about their feelings. If they're having a bad day, just say it. As you said,
Yeah,
the male suicide rates are only going up. And let's be
yeah,
honest, that's because of other men. Other men don't take men's mental health like seriously enough.
yeah,
They just don't. And I think if we start I guess pushing them for better things, and when I say that, maybe school, the trades, anything like that, right? We need to move their focus from just finding a wife. They need to be
yeah,
able to figure out themselves first, work on that emotional connection, love themselves, which I know sounds crazy, and then look for a woman. And let's be honest, I think that's why a lot of these guys are struggling. Women are going to school, they're getting more educated. Also, I'm going to say it, when you are highly educated, you like to talk to other people who are kind of in
right,
that
yeah,
similar boat as
Yeah,
you.
but there's
And
not
I
a
love that.
lot. You're not gonna find. This is the problem with you. You're looking for the top 20%. You're not gonna
Well,
get
that's
them.
not the top
no,
20%.
that's not true.
I
That's
went
not
to
true.
Hey,
university.
very
Guess
quick,
what?
stay.
You
Be
meet
quiet. Okay, there.
engineers.
Uh,
You meet med students. You meet whoever people who are going to be lawyers. You meet these people. You want to talk to these people. These are the people you are
they had
connected.
Okay,
right?
they had a study with the dating apps that 80% of the women were chasing the top 20% of the men on the dating apps.
That's not a
So
thing. Like that's just,
you guys are looking for the
You
top for the top. Hold
respond,
on.
Omar.
do
You
you
made a
think
claim. What do you
do you
think?
think on a dating app someone goes on and says, okay, he has to make $500,000 a year? Yeah, maybe a very small portion of women, but that's not most women. That
Eighty
just isn't.
percent, 80% of women are trying to fuck their top 20%. That's the problem with
Yeah,
you.
if you do a study on social media
Yeah, yeah.
and Instagram, maybe,
Yeah,
but that's not a fact. Like,
There's
no.
It's not.
30% of men are not getting they can't get pussy. Let's put it this way. In the United States, they're either virgins or have no access to a vagina. The
why
The
vagina
can't
issue,
market is
women?
closed.
Why
the
What are
issue
you
can't
talking
is,
about? People are
the
fuck.
issue is,
Why do you think
some
they
men,
hold
Well,
on? Why do you think they have all these industries, the only fan industry, the porn industry? Because men don't have
he has always
access
been
to
around.
the
that
vagina
supports the male
market,
gaze.
and you have
This is
and
catered
the
to the male gaze. OnlyFans, the
and
porn industry is catered to the male gaze.
and
And secondly, the
everything that's
reason,
wrong with society is the modern feminist is the poster child, is the fairy queen, is the poster child of everything that's wrong. Look at that energy she puts out. How are you gonna live with
okay,
that?
look at that
Who's
energy.
gonna live
Look
with
at
that?
the
okay,
I would
Fairy
not. I
Queen.
would.
Fairy Queen,
Where's
the
my
face
fantasy?
Yeah,
of
Where's
it's
my
feminism.
ruining my
The
whole
face
evening
of
over here.
Who's
feminism,
gonna
gang.
live with
Okay.
that? I would live with that. You crazy? I
okay,
jump
I
out the
understand.
window.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay,
Insecure in your
Okay, go ahead.
masculinity.
she ran
Mooncake, can you
away.
repeat that? I couldn't hear you.
Truly, that makes Omar insecure in his masculinity.
Oh, I'm
yes,
If
secure.
her
Oh,
having an
trust me,
opinion,
I'm secure.
if her having an opinion gets you so riled up and so frustrated, you're like, oh, she's like a man. That speaks to your insecurity, not hers.
yeah.
I, I,
So
I,
what
Yeah,
don't-
you
I don't want to fuck another man. I need a woman. I don't want another
but
man.
but
That's
but
the
that's the
Okay.
they
thing.
want
problem.
to fuck you.
Don't you
A lot
understand?
of
I want a feminine, like the girl on top. What's her name up there with the glasses? Not you, the other one. See how nice and quiet you're talking. Look at the fairy queen. She's got a gun on her waist. If she could shoot me, she'll shoot me. Look how she eats, everything. Look at that confidence. You don't give a damn. She's
Lift
probably got a
on
dick
so
instead
you're
of a
intimidated by
vagina.
his confidence.
Huh?
So you're
It's so
intimidated
different
by
on
her
Friday.
I'm
confidence.
telling you.
Is that what it is?
I'm
You're
telling
intimidated
you.
by her confidence.
Most women are. Yes,
We
you
read
have.
home cooking meal,
No, no, no.
guys. I think that's one of
Women
the
are
things
successful.
about me.
The whole idea is
Home cooked meal
I
right
think
here.
the problem is
women.
that a
I
lot
want
of
to. I want to hear
men.
from Brittany. I want to hear from Brittany right now. Brittany, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Just getting back to the whatever that was good. Anyways, I
Yeah,
think the
look at that.
problem is that a lot of men. Sorry, let me not generalize, but some men uh, want women to be comfortable with the bare minimum, right? And a lot of women aren't comfortable with the bare minimum, right? Because they had to fight for a lot of resources that they're receiving, a lot of opportunities they're receiving. So why should a woman who had these opportunities settle for somebody who's doing the complete opposite of everything they
You're
stand
not
for,
getting anything
right?
at the end of the day. You're not gonna find them. All the men are losers right now. What are you gonna get?
But
Only a dildo.
But
That's
but
not
it.
all the men are losers. Not
that
all men are
Huh?
losers. You're generalizing an entire gender of men and saying they're all
but
losers.
that contradicts
That's
something that's been said
insecurities.
before. That contradicts something that's been said before on the panel. That like, oh, it's totally fine if men don't have the resources, or if I have to pay the bill, or I have to pay for
When
dates, right?
when
Because
when I say women are settling for the bare minimum, you guys expect sex just because you are a man. That's not how life works.
I don't think
The
that's
vagina
true.
market's closed is not a thing. You can't expect sex just because you're a man. You're not entitled to the woman's anatomy because you are a man.
I don't think you can say that when I think like it was approaching 50% of guys are like remaining virgins until after 21. Like
But what does that have to do with the woman's choice? If she does not want to have sex with you, that's fine, right?
well, that's the whole point of what we're talking about is like we're like discussing what are the standards of women. You're the one who said that women are expected to settle for the bare minimum. But again,
I,
if it's more than 50% of men, that's probably not the bare minimum, right?
But maybe it is.
Women is that how much
And
money?
I want to ask it.
How
I
much
want
money
to
you
point
make?
out a serious question. Like it's about what marriage is for, and
Ask me
this
what
is
marriage
probably
is.
one of my most traditional. This is well, it's not really a question. It's more of a statement. It's a belief I hold, and it's the most tradcon thing I think I believe, right? And this comes from somebody that comes from a pretty tradcon family, right? So when we think about like what is your position as a conservative woman who is married, right? And you want to have children, right? Your number one responsibility in that marriage with your children is to your children, right?
Right.
It is to make sure that you are there and taking care of your kids, right?
I
And
agree
what
with
that means is that if you decide to not invest in yourself, you don't take care of yourself, you don't go to college, you don't have a job, you don't have years of a career, you don't have a resume built, then that means you are at the mercy of making sure that your husband is good for the rest of his life. That means that you have to bank on the fact that your husband isn't going to die in a car crash, that he's not going to be a paraplegic, that he's not going to get cancer, that nothing is going to happen to him, that he's not going to lose his job, that he's not going to have revamp his career halfway through, right? Life is long and these things happen. You have to be an empowered partner in order to be there for your
Oh
children in
man,
case something happens to your husband, right? You can't simply bank on the fact that he's always going to be there. And this is, by the way, assuming that your husband is a good guy, right? And he's a good guy and you love him, right? This isn't even accounting for the possibility that he's not a good guy, right? And you have to bounce out of town, right? If
yeah.
you are a woman and you do not have that career and you don't have that
You
education
can't
and you
have
marry
both.
somebody they turn out to be a bad husband, whether because
You
you are
can't.
a good
You,
or
you
because they actually are abusive, you are screwed.
you
You're
can't.
stuck with somebody
You
in a
can't
big
have
way that's
both.
not true if you don't have a college
You're gonna
education or if
you
you
either
don't have a
choose.
career. It is much better for you as a partner to be your partner's equal as much as you can in terms of education and income for this reason, right?
That's what
Here's
I'm
another
saying.
example that never gets talked about, right? We usually talk about, well, what are you going to do, right, when you're 30 or when you're 40, right, and you don't have a man? Well, I'll ask you all a different question. What are we supposed to do when we're 50 and 60 and our babies have flown the coop, right? What are we going to do with the rest of our lives? Ladies, life is long, right? It doesn't end after your kid turns 18 and they hop out the door, right?
Don't believe
You
her,
have so much
ladies.
more
Don't
life
believe
to live,
her.
right? And if you haven't invested yourself in the beginning, if you haven't done that work to get your career, your education under your belt, your career under your belt, it's so hard for you to go
Nobody's
back when you're
saying that.
50 or
You
60
can't.
to
You
get that,
can't.
right?
You.
And these men, when they
Dairy
say that
Queen.
like this,
Dairy
they are
Queen.
setting you up for when you are 50 or 60 to be completely destitute, to not have money in the bank, to not have your education under your belt, and to completely look at the next 30 or 40 years of your life wondering, what am I going to do? If you don't want to be in that position when you're 50, which all of us will be at some point, you need to make sure that you're investing in yourself now, in your 20s.
When you reach
Kamikaze has
50,
played
you
the
can
good
have
stop.
a
You're not
cat,
going to
and a
get in the way of
dog.
my
That's all you're
money.
gonna
I'll
have,
mute you.
Queen.
Okay,
That's all you're
great.
gonna have when you reach
You're not
50.
going to get in the way of my money. So I've been paid to ask Fairy Queen a question, and so I'm going to ask that
Ask Omar.
question.
Something to ask
Fairy
Omar.
Queen,
Oh God.
Okay.
and this is the rest of you can answer too, but Fairy Queen first. Do
Okay.
you consider yourself a high value woman?
No.
No.
And do you even have a fucking job? Kamikaze's words, not mine.
And I even have a fucking job. How
Yeah.
about that?
Do
No, I
she
don't
have a
consider.
husband? Forget about the
I
job.
don't think of myself in terms of high value or low value or whatever the heck. Okay. The only thing I think about is like, do you and I like? Well, if there is a thing I hypergamously select for, it's intelligence. Okay. Like, are you somebody who is as smart as me? Right? Can we hold a good conversation? Right? Do you have the same values as me? Do you love me? Do we have the same future or vision in life?
This is all.
This
This is
is
all.
what I'm
La,
looking.
la, la, la,
It's
la, la, la,
absolutely
la,
true.
la.
Most of my partners that I have had
Put on the
have
music.
made less money than me, and they are less, and they have been less educated than me. But that doesn't mean that they weren't fulfilling partnerships
Do
or
you
I
have
didn't
a
care about.
do you have a significant other right now? And be honest. I don't
Yeah, I
think so.
do.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do,
Well,
and he's very handsome too.
I bet
Okay.
he's the most feminist person
He's,
that you beat the
he's
shit
more
out of every
masculine
day.
than you will ever be in your life,
We
Omar.
could.
That's a
I
fact.
want to get the answer for the rest of them. I'm curious. Johnny, high value man.
No, I'm a high value woman. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
That was the
Do you have a
question.
job?
I'm a
I'm a
high
high
value
value
woman.
woman.
Do you have a job?
Yeah.
What do you mean a woman?
Omar,
He's
high
a
value
guy.
man.
He's a
Are you a high
girl.
value man? Just
Of
yes
cour-
or no.
Of
High
course,
value man.
of course I am.
And do you have a job?
I have businesses, not a job.
Okay, beautiful.
Who
Uh,
says
Hammer,
uh,
are you a high
MLM?
value man?
Yes, I am a high value woman as well,
Okay.
and my job is being the best son I can.
woman, are
Okay.
you
I'm
guys
just,
serious?
I'm just kidding. No,
Mooncake.
no,
Oh,
I have a job. Yes, I have a job.
but you're not a
Mooncake.
woman, right?
Who's to
What's
say?
Okay, Mooncake. Are you a high value
I'm
woman?
getting confused over here with these guys. These
I
white
I
men are
really
crazy.
I really hate that thing. I don't know, like I don't know how to even answer that. Sure, and yeah, I do have a job.
Okay. Brittany.
Um, I don't know. I'm with
Fair enough.
Mooncake on this one. And yes, I do have a job.
You look like your wife material between me and you.
Let's kind of reset this a little bit. Let's rein this in just a small smidge because I'm hearing from a lot of the. I've asked some questions of Omar and the men here, but I want to turn my eye of Sauron, my gaze, my spotlight on the women here for a moment because you've said a lot of things that sound good, but I don't know if they map onto reality, right? So
True.
who do you think gets more attention from women, right? We're not even going to go with sex, but just more interest in things. Do you think a man who makes $100,000 or one who makes $10,000 on average? Which one would you guess gets more attention from women?
Okay, if we're going solely based
Let's
on
just
looks,
be
I don't.
honest, okay? Just that variable alone. You
Yeah,
have two
not
guys.
the
One
fairy
makes
tale shit.
ten thousand
Play a
dollars
little
a
with
year.
more money,
The other
right?
makes
Yeah,
$100,000 a
I
year.
mean,
There.
Which one's getting more attention?
like if we're just like if we're in a room and this guy's like, I make $100,000, someone's like, I make $10,000.
If you had to choose, that's what he's saying.
Well, no, we're not making them choose.
Oh,
I'm asking in general, which do you think, and we're not putting them in a room, just you have a man who, again, average guy, makes 10,000 a year. Then you have another average guy, but he makes 100,000 a year. Again, just simple question, which do you think on average gets more attention from women?
Probably the man who makes more money. I'm
of
Yeah,
gonna be
okay.
honest.
course.
Probably
Does
the man who
everyone
makes
agree
more
with
money.
this? Omar,
Yes.
shut up for a minute.
Yeah.
Let me go through this.
True.
Do you all agree with that? Yes, no?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah, I'll agree. I'm asking the women. You can shut up too for a minute, Hammer. Let me ask the ladies. Um, Man who's 6'2" versus a man who is 5'2". Which do you think gets more attention from women?
Too
Well,
tall.
okay, well,
This is the
I
taller
like
one.
short kings, so
Yeah,
height doesn't matter to me.
In general, we're not talking individual
Um,
preferences here. Fair
Okay.
enough. 5'2", short king, fair. My 5'2" audience members, maybe look out. But no, in general, 5'2" or 6'2". What do you think?
Well, I think a taller man's gonna dominate the room, so
yeah.
he's gonna draw more attention.
So the 6'2" is just gonna get more from
of
women.
Yeah,
course,
Okay,
of
fair
overall.
enough.
course, of course. Guess
Okay.
what?
So when we look at these generalities,
Yep,
which you've all agreed to,
yep.
it seems to be that this, oh, well, we just want, a nice man or smart man. Those are probably all good qualities, but they
Mhm.
don't get you in the door. They are what separates the 6'2" man from the other 6'2" men,
They are
or
the
the
only.
Right.
rich men from the other rich men,
That's
right?
only
I
So
what
if
makes
you
know.
have a
sense.
rich man who's a
That's
jackass versus a rich man who's very, very
what
nice and intelligent, obviously you'll go with the rich man who's very
Wick.
nice and intelligent. But again, I want to just,
You just described only
I
two
don't,
percent of the population. That's all they have. 6'2". All the description you just described doesn't
just
exist.
let me go with this, Omar. Please,
Yeah.
please let me go with this.
All right.
So, I guess my question is like when men are seeing this, when guys are seeing this, and they're being told, "Well, it's your fault," and they're sitting there like, "How's it my fault? I'm 5'2". How is that my
True.
fault? And it just feels disingenuous a little bit. So
Those
can you explain this? And we'll go
those
with Mooncakes and Fairy Queen, then Brittany, and I want
those
to hear you guys answer.
two men though, they aren't picking women who are over a certain weight as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Everyone has their preferences, so I do think that is something we have to consider, right? For example, like I'm a taller woman, I'd probably look at more like taller men, right? If you're a shorter woman, usually you'll date a guy who's like, I don't know, like 5'2" and up, like just a bit, right?
Yeah.
It depends on what you're kind of looking for
I'm not
and what
5'2".
you also look like. So I think that is something that has to be considered. I don't think every single woman is just looking for a 6'2" man that makes $100,000 a year. I think that's just, to me at least, a little crazy.
I
Yeah.
was being a little, I was using extremes to again illustrate a point,
Yeah.
but fair enough. Fairy Queen, go ahead.
There's an important thing that you said in there, right? Put your foot in the door, right? I think we really need to draw like a big red crayon on, because generally what you're saying is some is true to, like, right? Generally speaking, like taller men who have good jobs, like those tend to be more attractive, right? That's just generally true. And I don't think anybody on the, at least on my side of the panel, has denied that, right? Like that's not what we're saying. What we're saying is it's not sufficient, right? What we're saying is if you want to get a girlfriend, if you want to have a stable relationship, it's not enough to be somebody who's tall and that makes a lot of money, right? And acts like this big hyper masculine thing, right? You have to do more than that, right? Because of the fact that even if having a good job and like making money is attractive, right? The fact that also have a good job and can provide for myself negates some of the impact of that, right? It means that I'm like, okay, you have a really nice job, but what else can you give me, right? What else is there here, right? Because you're right. because it's true. If I decide that I don't like you, then I'm just going to move on to the next person who also is moderately tall, who also has a relatively good job. There's one more thing I want to say before I pass it off to Christina, and that's this idea of like what masculine. There's this idea that I sometimes hear that is also disingenuous, like on the other side, which is that the most attractive man would necessarily be the most masculine man you could find, right? That is not true, okay? That is just not true. And the
Right here,
statistics don't
right
show
here.
that it's true either, right? When we love, there's a study off of Psychology Today. It talks about like men's faces, right? And it talks about like hyper masculine faces as opposed to feminine faces, right? And this is what it
She can go
found in the
all day,
study.
Wick.
What
She's
it
like
found
that.
was that women prefer moderately masculine faces, right? They generally prefer men who are moderately masculine. What does that mean? It means most women prefer men who look like Ned Stark or Jon Snow, but they're not going for Gregor Clegane, right? The Mountain, right? That's not the most attractive man you
Oh,
could
you're looking
find,
for,
right?
I know
The
what you're
big
looking for.
giant, like no, like everybody wants the nice Henry Cavill who's tall and who's handsome, who holds the door open, who's very strong and he's very confident, right? But nobody wants the asshole who's 6'5", 210 pounds of pure muscle, who slams his drink down and calls the waitress all of a whole bunch of names, right? Nobody wants that, right?
All right,
What you
all right,
want
all right.
is somebody who is masculine enough so that they're attractive, right? Somebody who's attractive to you, but is also at the same time not so much into
Why
the
don't you ask us,
stereotype that they can
Wick?
be good dads, right? That they
Ask
can
us.
be
She's gonna
polite,
stay
that
all
they can
day.
hold the door open, right? Because that's the
That's
problem with
she.
going too far off to
That's
the
the
extreme.
poster child of a feminist woman. That's what I'm talking about. This is the problem. You
And
see,
that's the poster child
this
of somebody
is
who's
how do you get
trying to be the hyper
how do you
masculine
gonna
guy,
live with
but is
that? How you
sadly
gonna? I
failing
would
because of the church. So
if
it's
I you
so
know Wick,
sad.
if
How
I
would
had
that
to live
be?
with that, I would jump out the window right away. Right now, I'll jump out the
Look at that
window.
window
Okay,
right
hey,
now.
yo, Omar, come
Uh,
on. We
I
There's
already
a
picked
see.
window
you
right
once
behind
for
you. I
being a
don't see
little too
nothing
close to
there.
the line.
No, no,
You're getting close to the line.
no.
I'm
Ask
telling you to
me.
pull it back a little bit.
No, I'm just.
There's a window.
I'm trying to make her laugh. Ask me
Okay.
the what men looking for women into. Okay, you know what we look for? I don't care about your education, about your income. My only issue if you're not a hoe. That's all. In your past.
That's
That's
not
all.
true. Let me ask you then. You see a woman who's 120 pounds, 5'6" or something, and then you see a woman who's 220 pounds, who's 5'6" or something. Which do you think gets more attention from
There's
the men?
120, but if she's a hoe, I don't want her. I'm just
Okay,
gonna.
the 120. Would everyone here agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
unless it's
again, this works
220
both
pounds of muscle, I
ways.
might
But they're not
swing the
wife.
other way.
But she's
Wait,
not.
can
If she's not wife material, I'm just gonna hit it and run. That's all. I'm just gonna hit it
I,
and
wa-
can
kill
I,
it.
I know what you think, Omar, but I want to hear what Johnny thinks. Johnny,
Okay.
what is wife material to you?
Wife material?
Yeah, wife material. What do you consider wifing up? What qualities does a woman have to have that you were like, okay, just give me a couple. Give me a couple.
I mean, the big thing is companionship. It's got to be someone that I can sit in an empty, silent room and just read books together. I mean, it's companionship. You get
Silent
along,
women.
Read
you
Got
work
you.
books.
well
So you want them to
together.
keep
That's
silence
it.
while you read. What else?
I don't know. I don't want to be making all the decisions. I want to share their decisions of the life. So I want someone that's
Oh my
not
gosh.
expecting me to be Omar. And yeah, I just,
Trust me.
I want someone that I'm
Okay.
sharing a
So a
life
woman
with.
who remains silent but makes a decision. Got it. Hammer, what do you think?
what do I look for in women?
Who do you consider wifing up? Like, what is like the qualities, the 2 or 3 qualities that you think a woman has to have for you to wife her up?
I would say like just I would this is kind of a I would say like stability, like someone who's like not difficult, someone who's like kind of I like people who are low maintenance. I like people who like
Someone you can
are not
ignore. Got you. Okay.
yeah, kind of sometimes I'm like I don't want to make my life about you. Sometimes I'm like or like people who like are overly like people you can't really talk to, people you can't like talk about issues with, people who are like blow things way out of proportion. That I really don't like that. Um, other things, yeah, mostly that. Just people who are like chill, I guess.
Okay, how
I
about
have to
me?
add on to what I have to take
Ask
They
Fairy
just
Queen's thing too.
my turn.
Intelligence
My turn.
is a game changer.
okay. Omar, why not?
Sure.
Omar, take your turn. What do you think?
My turn
Who do you
is
consider
a
wifing up?
wife material is a woman who has a good past, not a 304, who's able to marry me, stay at my home, raise my children, and make me a better man and raise me the next generation. If I'm able to provide for me and her, That's what I want. She could help me. Maybe when I make enough, she could help me get a job at the laundromat, whatever she wants there and here. But I don't want. I don't want a competitor like a Dairy Queen here. I don't want somebody to argue and yell at me all day. I want somebody to shut up. I give my wife only 2 conversations. Remember, I told you that a long time ago. Vic. I don't lie, right? She has 2 conversations a day. That's it. After that, we all. But I really, honestly, I want a wife.
Conversation limit.
Yeah,
Yep, I remember.
yeah, honestly, I want a wife that's gonna raise my kids like what my wife does. I have 6 kids, by the way. I have six. And I want her to raise these children to be good citizens. I want my daughters to grow up to have self worth. I don't want me at the job all day and 12 hours away and she's 12 hours
Do
a
you
day.
teach your
And the
do you
streets,
teach
hold
your
on.
daughters to be these kind of things? Do you teach them
My,
to
my
be to have a conversation limit
well,
with their
my
men?
well, my daughters don't talk to men until they get married. We have a different culture. They walk around with a hijab, with the
Oh,
scarf.
yeah, I
So
understand.
they're off the market for any idiot in the neighborhood. Well, what I'm saying is that that's what I want because right now, let's say if me and Derry Queen are husband and wife, she leaves at 7 o'clock in the morning, I leave at 6. She takes the train, I take the bus. The children are where daycare wherever they are. They go to school. We come home at 7 o'clock. She gives half a salary a year to people who watch the kids. What do you call them? The people watch the kids.
Babysitters?
Babysitters,
Yeah,
Nannies?
babysitter. Yeah, almost have
nanny.
women pay almost half their salary for nannies. Then what happened? We didn't succeed. First of all, we don't have a life. She's at work and I'm at work. We're like men. Second of all, we're not raising our kids. Then they grow. The kids grow. We have no real relationship with them. Then they become either bad kids. They make trouble for the government and become costly to society. I want to raise women are the foundation of humanity. Forget about that. If women are good and solid, then you have society and you could guarantee the next generation will be there
Okay.
and will be safe. Hold on. Women raise men, by the way, if they have the husband around. A good
Okay,
woman.
so that was very nice, Mr. 420. I'm glad that you slammed all the 3 or 4s, but your 420 time is done. Okay, that's enough. All right.
What's a
So
420?
Buried
let's
in moon.
respond to this because this is a serious question a lot of people have, right, about relationships and about marriage, right? Who's going to stay at home, right?
You.
Like, is that something that's really feasible to do? Like, if you have kids, right? This nanny question, like, although Omar is memeing over here and apparently has some weird desire to put me in a hijab, I will tell all of you that this nanny question is a serious question that third wave feminism has wrestled with. And it's wrestled with it for a very good reason. And the reason why is because this is an article written by Caitlin Flanagan in The Atlantic a few years ago. And it talked about the fact that many professional women's success comes at the price of like exploiting many nannies. So many nannies that work for upper middle class and professional class women, for lawyers, for doctors. Oftentimes, these women that would come and work as nannies, they would work. They were often did not speak English. They were often immigrants. They were women who were often paid under the table in cash. And so, if the mother became upset with them, like in the household, they were quickly dismissed, and they had no social security benefit. And it was a consistent problem with many of these nannies. And
Missing
so,
the
and the
point.
critique making
You
within
missed
the
the
article
point.
was that
The point
this
is
is the good news. This is the good news for those of you who are worried about this dynamic, right? And the good news is that the world of work has changed, and you're looking at the big reason why. More people than ever, thanks to COVID-19, are now working at home, right? It is now possible for many people in many positions that would not have been possible before. You can work at home and be with your kids. You can be a
that's
stay-at-home dad
beautiful.
and still have a job.
I
You
like
can
that. I
I'm
like
stay-at-home
that.
gonna
mom and still
we
have
are
a
we
job.
are
There are
hold on,
lots of
hold
stay-at-home
on,
parents
hold
that
on,
can
hold
still
on,
have this availability, and it's
hold
not
on.
true.
You didn't
I'm going to
understand.
I'm going to take a minute to read some of the super chats we got, and then we're
Okay.
gonna mooncakes because she had her hand up, and then we're gonna go back to you, Omar.
Thank you.
And if anyone else wants in hands, but let me read these super chats because people paid me money, and gang, if you pay me money, I'll read your shit, right?
Money's
Okay,
good.
give me a second. Okay, $2 from Testicle Johnson. Omar, how do I access the vagina market? $5 from Alex Schmidt. What systematic solutions can be put in place to make men less socially awkward and less creepy to the average woman? Not just
The issue
don't
here is
grape.
not creepy that the women have.
Okay,
True.
okay. Let me get through these. Let me get through these, and we'll get
Okay,
to them.
okay, good.
$5 from the Temperance Quill. When I'm 50 with my 3 cats, I'll be very happy because I didn't waste the majority of my life trapped with a man like you, Omar.
Yeah, and the
Kissy face.
dildo in her cabinet.
$5 careful.
Okay.
$5 from Zephyr Hash. I like how a high value man like Omar feels the need to wear a cap and sunglasses indoors. Okay, and with that,
That's
I want to
prescription
hear
glasses.
from $10. They still
I look
keep coming.
ugly without the
$10
glasses.
from Mantis. The crisis of men these days just highlights how their external locus of control is not working for them. Both sexes need to develop a greater internal locus of control. And now I want to hear from Mooncake, who had her hand up. So Mooncake, go ahead.
What Omar said. I think we have to realize this isn't like the 1950s anymore. Women started working after World War One. As you know, a lot of men went off to war. They started to have to work in factories. Women also realized, oh, they could bring home money for their families. I think with the high cost of living, and it just keeps getting higher, we need both parties to be working. A man honestly can't just work on his own anymore. And if we put this much pressure on men to be the breadwinner, I think we're going to push them more into depression because every day it's going to be like, how do I make more money? How many hours do I have to put in? And men, I believe it is, they get diagnosed with cancer at later stages because they usually don't take
Stop,
their
stop,
healthcare
stop
seriously.
killing us. What happened? Why we gotta get cancer?
Well, it is, men don't take
You
their
get
healthcare
cancer.
seriously.
Why you get
And that
another
is
cancer?
something that I think other men need to consider, right? They're not taking care of themselves. So why are we going to keep putting this pressure on them? At this point, from the mental health statistics, we should be trying to push them into other lanes. How do we help them? Is it through
Mhm.
therapy? Is it through programs?
Probably
Is it through
you guys are not understanding that
You gotta let her finish.
she didn't finish
Go
yet.
ahead.
I thought she finished.
I just think it's kind of dishonest, especially as a man, to tell men that they have to do these things to be successful. I think we need to just get to a point where it can be equal on both sides. I think that's okay. It doesn't make a woman more masculine to make some money. I think it'd be even better. Think about it. Think about it. Your kids can be in more programs after school if you're both making more money, right? You can still raise your kids and both be working full-time jobs. That's it.
Okay, well, you
Okay, go
wanna?
ahead.
The question
No,
was
I was
Wait,
going to
can I?
add to that point. Yeah, I was going to
this.
say that I I do agree with that. I'm kind of like centrist on this. Like, yes, I do agree that you can have relationships or marriages where two people are working and you can still raise your kids, and there's more opportunities through remote work for women to stay at home and raise their kids, right? But I do also think that if a man is able to put the woman in a position comfortably where she can stay at home and raise her kids and be that traditional wife and build those healthy relationships, then that's okay too, right? But the issue is a lot of men aren't in that position. They want more from women than what they're willing to give, right? They want you to be X, Y, and Z, but they don't want to provide stability, especially, or, there's financial abuse as well in these circumstances that lead women to want to get these extra jobs. But if you're able to provide that security in the home, then yeah,
That's what I
go ahead,
said.
stay at
Um,
home.
That's what I said. I mean,
wait,
I mean, if the husband is good and he's able to make money, he should provide and not force his wife to make any money. Just raise your children.
Hammer swinging. He's going to talk for ages otherwise.
Go ahead,
But but
go ahead,
but
talk.
but
Go
it should
ahead.
also be a choice, right? It shouldn't be something that's designated to you're going to stay home. It should be the woman's choice to, hey, I want to stay home. You're able to provide. Let's do this together, right?
Yeah,
It shouldn't be that you force this on you.
yeah, it's a choice. Nobody's forcing women to do anything. You can't force nobody to do anything.
You can force your kids to go to work while you and the wife both stay home, right?
You
It's
that's
part
can't
of
my
do
it.
that.
But
No,
plan.
anyway,
no, no.
Hammer, go ahead.
I'm raising the next
Oh,
generation here. Yeah.
I wanted to respond to something that again Fairy Queen said a while ago. And it kind of has to do with what we're talking about. But you were saying that like you were talking about when we were talking about how men get more attention and men are expected to be or men are, I guess, there's like a standard you could say for men to be successful and large and like kind of masculine, right? And your response was that, well, nowadays that's not enough. We're asking more. You want like sensitive, like kind of more emotionally receptive men. And again, that kind of shows me the problem with like a lot of our new dating standards, which is that for what we expect of women nowadays, it's kind of relieving the burden in that they give them more options. Women can be like they can have careers, they can do sex work, but they can also do like they can be at home, they can do like a moderate amount of work and rely more so on their husband. So they do like I see in my personal life, I see a lot of women working like service jobs where and they do like 30 something hours a week, and their husbands do like 50, 60 hours of blue collar labor every week. And so again, so like there's a lot more like flexibility, freedom for women, and there's a lot more expectations where you have to have the old task of providing and being masculine and being, I've heard this before, the emotional rock of like where you don't need like emotional support, but you provide it while also again, being more sensitive, being, willing to, regard emotions and stuff, being kind of taking also on some of the feminine burden.
You bring up a good point, and I want to just hammer this home and ask this question. I want the women to
You
respond
wanna
and
hammer it home?
yeah, to hammer it. Yeah, puns are great.
Ask the
So
question: who's wife material right now in the screen?
I'm wife. No, I'm kidding.
A
But no,
rude question.
Sure.
I'm not going to judge my panelists like that. Anyway, regardless, let me ask, right? Because Hammer brings up a good point. I want to kind of just lean into it a little bit. When it comes to dating, gaining relationships, we're not talking about in relationships yet. We're talking about getting relationships. Who do you think has an easier time, men or women? Just in general.
What's the question?
I'd say
Sorry.
women.
Like getting
Women?
into relationships,
Yeah,
or
just getting a relationship. Who has an easier time with that, men or women?
Women,
In your
of
opinion?
course.
I would say women. I generally think women.
Women, okay.
Can I say
Like getting
something?
into romantic relationships or
Yeah,
just
just
regular
a
relationships?
romantic relationship.
On personally, my opinion, I feel like men have an easier time
Men
getting
have
into
an
romantic.
easier time.
Yeah,
Interesting. I
and my
want to
reason for that, it just
before we
depends.
explain that, I
Yeah.
just want to get the answer from everyone if we can. And then we're going to go to you because I'm curious what you think. Fairy Queen, real quick, just men or women?
I think that it's easier for women to have sex. I think that it's easier for men to have relationships.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, Johnny?
Who's it more difficult for? Men.
Well, easier for in this
Oh,
case.
who is
Like
it easier for?
who has an
I
easier time
think
getting
with the
into a
introduction of
relationship,
like
men or women?
dating apps, social media, all that stuff, it's easier for women now.
Women? Okay, what do you think, Mooncake?
to agree with Brittany, I think it's men as well. I think they have it easier.
Okay, so men. I'm. Well, let's go back to Brittany because you were going to explain why your answer because I disagree with you, but let's hear why. Maybe you can change my
Yeah.
mind.
No, so the reason why I think that is like, yes, it's easier for men to get sex. That's not like for women, you just have to say
Yeah.
yes. I consent to having sex, right? But sex doesn't equal relationships. You're not building anything from that, and it's a lot easier for men to choose whether they want to have a relationship with this person. A woman can say, when a woman has sex, it's more so most of the time an emotional connection. They want to get to know this person. They want to go on second dates. They want to do whatever. Men have the opportunity to be like, I got what I want. I don't really need anything else from you. So when it comes to building relationships and romantic relationships, men sort of have that upper hand where they can say, hey, I do want to get to know you. I do want to be with you. Or I've already got what I want and I'm over it.
Okay, can I?
Well,
Could
can I
women not
respond to
do the
that?
same?
Relationships.
Yeah.
Relationships are controlled by. I don't know. Sex is controlled by women. Women hold the key to the vagina, but we hold the key to the relationship. We hold the key to the ring.
Omar agrees with you. Fair enough.
Mary, you have the
Yeah.
most
We
vulgar
decide.
mouth I've
No, no,
ever
no. Hold on,
heard
hold on,
on
hold
this
on.
show. Jeez
We
Louise.
hold on. We decide.
Will your wife give
we-
you a bar of soap to wipe it out with? My goodness. And stop
hold on.
auditioning for the invisible man, man. Look, those glasses, they freak me out. My goodness.
Why don't you act a
Okay.
little like women? Look at you. You look like a man. We're sitting down like that.
Enough.
I would
They
Okay,
don't
we're
look
not
like a
going to go
little
down
boy.
that
I have a
road.
response, by the
If
way.
you're the
Can we-
last woman in the world, if you're the last woman in the world, I won't even come near you. I will
Hammer.
I will hump a tree.
Hammer, we
Yeah.
get it. You don't have to like each other. Hammer, go ahead.
Okay. I have a question. You said that I think you unironically said that women hold the key to sex, but women hold the key to relationships. Do you really think that like women are less selective when it comes to getting into relationships?
Do I think they're less selective?
Yeah. Like, do you think women like if say a guy approaches a woman and he's like, I want a relationship. Do you think she's almost always going to say yes just because he wants that in the first place?
Takes a
Well,
while.
no, I think that it has to be built. I feel like if a man approached a woman and said, "I want a relationship," I'm like, "That's weird. Like, I don't know you." But obviously, if I'm
Yeah,
getting
you
to
kind
know
of got to
them,
build a little bit of rapport there.
yeah, I need to build a relationship.
Well,
You have to
that's
build that
part of the
bond,
part.
right? But what I'm saying is that it's easier for women to have sex because we just have to say yes, right? That's all we have to say is yes. 90%
But we're
of
not
the
talking
time, a
about
man is
that.
going to be like, "Well, I'm getting to my point." 90%
Okay.
of the time, a man is going to be like, okay, sure, we'll have sex, right? But after you get sex from a man's perspective, it's their choice to continue that relationship and get to know that person further or to cut ties, right? A woman can say, I want a relationship with you. If the man's like, no, then okay, then there's nothing there.
Well, why don't you think that works in reverse? Just real quick, hold on, Hamar. But that's fair enough. But do you not think men have the same issue, right? Like we can't just be like, I choose you for a relationship, and then suddenly we have a
Exactly.
relationship. Like, do you think that's how it works for men?
No.
No,
That's what
that's
I'm
not how it
saying.
works.
Okay.
No,
So
I'm
I
saying
guess my
that
question is, right? I understand that again, once you pass that threshold and you are like, I understand that it's very easy for women to get sex, much harder for men to get sex,
Of course.
but it's also much harder, I would imagine, for men. Well, not imagine, I don't have to imagine. It's also much harder for men to get relationships as well because, again, we can't just go up and just wave our magic wands and say, "Oh, now we're in a relationship." We have to do like if they're going to reject me for sex, they're also going to reject me for a relationship. Like that's just going to
That's
happen.
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
But
So
I
again, if we have a harder time getting sex than women, that also again kind of plays into we probably also have a harder time getting relationships.
I mean, it's probably going to be harder if you just go straight in and say, "Hey, I want sex." Then
You,
when you're done with sex, you're
Johnny,
like, "Hey,
I'm
I want a
being I'm
relationship."
just for the sake of the
You're gonna
conversation,
call
you're
the
assuming.
cops.
Okay,
well,
you know
yeah,
what I mean.
then if you want sex, I'm just gonna call the police. This guy's a Looney Tune. Talk about personally.
No,
But
but
yeah,
does that make sense what I'm saying? Do you
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
understand
yeah,
what
yeah.
I'm
We
kind of
understand what
getting
you're saying.
at here?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We understand what you're saying. Because let's say I
Well,
walk.
I want to know if
Let,
Brittany does.
let's see if I
Do you understand? Get the point I'm trying to make?
let's see if I walk in a club
yeah,
and say, "Hey, I want sex." They're gonna call the
yeah.
cops. That if Dairy Queen walks in there, "Hey, I want sex," 10
Right.
guys will
Oh,
jump right at her.
Brittany,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Brittany.
yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
No, yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
But
So do
I
you
personally,
disagree with what I'm saying?
I personally, yeah, kind of. I still think it's easier for men to get into relationships than it is for women.
I
Like,
disagree.
Can I ask?
In what situation? Like,
Yeah,
can I ask for
like,
like
can you
an
elaborate?
example? Like,
Sidekick
can I
Cat
get
says
an
wanting sex is illegal.
Well, like
can I
if
what can
you're
I ask for
I
like an
think, okay,
example?
yes, I'll give you an example. I think, for example, I'm going to use dating apps as an example, right? Dating apps have become a quick way to hook up with people, right? It's been a quick way to go on a date, get to know somebody, have sex, and that's it, right? A lot of men go on dating apps to get sex instead of getting valuable relationships. And in that case, it's harder for women to access valuable relationships because a lot of these men on these dating apps are just looking for sex. If a man goes on a dating app and he sees himself finding a long term relationship, that's a lot easy. That's a lot easier on the man's part compared to a woman's part because women make themselves emotionally available from the beginning. Men are just saying, "Hey, okay, who can I see for tomorrow?"
No, I promise, whether they say they want sex or whether they say they want relationships first, men on dating apps have a harder time, whether it be
Yeah,
sex or
I just
relationship.
told you the 20%
By
is
a
exactly.
square peg.
and just on the dating app saying by an order of magnitude harder,
Yes.
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
but also the
Go ahead,
percentage is
Moonface.
off, right? There's like it's like 3 times more men on dating apps than there are women,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So now women can be more selective because they
But
have a
why
bigger
is that?
selection now.
Why
Exactly.
is there 3 times more men on dating
I
apps than there are
just
women?
think for women it's a great way to meet people sometimes because a lot of times, as Brittany said, men are just looking for sex. So a lot of women
Yes,
don't even bother downloading the app because
exactly.
we already know they're probably just looking for sex.
Looking for
Or you
Yeah.
sex, exactly.
That's
But
messages.
normal.
it but
Or
it
and hear
but
me out, because there are more women in relationships or more women that are happy outside just not having
that is
relationships.
I
true.
mean, I could buy the argument that women overall might be happier right now, and therefore they're not stressing on finding a relationship. Um, I forgot what I was going to say though, so it
All
doesn't
right.
matter.
Well, what are
It's
we
okay.
talking about? Let me get a
I
chance.
know. Hold on. I want to hammer this point home because I think you're all wrong.
What's the
Frankly.
What
question?
about me?
I get it
What
right. What's
about
the
me? Am
question?
I wrong?
I'm the
Stop.
genius here.
Stop.
Go ahead.
Genius. Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay, but I think we are selling this problem short because, again, by every metric that we've at least mentioned here, men are having a larger struggle with this. Now, women have their own larger struggles. We could talk about when it comes to abuse in relationships, or when it when we come to talk about when you're in a relationship, who shoulders more of the burden. Y'all win in that. Okay, you got the struggle there. But when it comes to actually getting a relationship, again, men just struggle with this for a
They
variety of
do.
reasons.
I
Um,
I struggled when I
and
was
we
young.
and Moonpix, you said something earlier that I find interesting that I want to talk about. That you said men just need to do better. Do you not think that women bear any responsibility at all in this dynamic?
No, not at all. Honestly, I really don't. I think women have been able to move with the times But unfortunately, I think men have been left behind, and I think they've also done it to themselves. There's, I think, this expectation of themselves that they're also not meeting, so they're kind of projecting these issues onto women, right? As we've all said, women are now going to school at higher levels, right? They're more likely to be educated now. That's not the fault of women. I think men just need to do better. They need to stand up, do these things that they've done in the past. They've always had more opportunities, so why not take those opportunities? And I
Well,
think you just have to hold them accountable.
do
That's
you
it.
not think that, like, in terms of everything that we've had, yeah, you're talking about women being more successful and everything. I think too, with comes that is a level of intimidation for men to the women. And then you're here saying that I don't care, fix your own problems.
What do you mean by
You
intimidation?
should, I'm not saying that women should be caring about fixing men's problems. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is people should be caring about fixing people's problems, male or female.
They'll
We
choose
need to work
themselves.
together.
Yeah.
If I
Feminism
can,
was not supposed to be,
But at
ever
the time,
feminine superiority. It was supposed
also,
about
Just real quick,
creating the equality.
if I
just real
can,
quick, I want to
I don't
give
agree with
Moon.
that part.
I see you, Fairy Queen. Don't worry. I want to give Mooncake a chance to respond. But I also want to ask, like, if women have no responsibility here, why are men expected to always approach? And I would guarantee you that again, in general, women just don't approach. They don't have to. Men have that burden, right? Men, and we don't teach them how either, right? There's no
True.
class on this. Like, it's a very, very large struggle because there's, again, as we pointed out, you were seen as predatory in a lot of cases by society if you approach a woman in public. And so we have this issue. So telling men to just do better, right, seems
I mean,
that
but
women have no responsibility. In my
point,
opinion, women should be approaching men.
at some
Yeah.
point, though,
Well,
I do think it is about personal responsibility. Yes, we could say, okay, let's all work together, but they have to take charge of their own lives. If they see themselves struggling, if they see in their space that men are struggling, they also need to do something about it. It can't be women always fixing these problems. If they see themselves falling behind, guess what? Personal responsibility. That's
Yeah.
what we always tell people. And when it comes to approaching, personally, I have no problem approaching men. I know not all women do, but men shouldn't feel that they should always have to approach. There are women
Yeah.
who do approach men,
Yeah.
but like
That's a rarity, but yes, fair
I
yeah,
enough.
it is.
and
It is very rare.
And I 100% get that you're saying that, women shouldn't have to fix men. Men should have accountability on their own. But do you think that women could help, not take it on,
much
but
more, how
help?
much more can we help? Because that's what feminism has actually
Sure, I
tried
just
to do.
yeah,
They've
no,
tried
I get
to
you.
give more space.
Approach women in general should approach more. I think that would help.
But that's not the only thing that's going to solve
Yeah,
men's.
It would
I'd
solve a
say that's
lot.
just a very
That's the
small,
bare minimum. Because
small thing. I'm
what if
talking about just like, I think something that would greatly benefit men and women is if we got somehow moved past the social norm of anytime a guy talks to a girl, he wants to hook up. Platonic friendships do still exist. Platonic friendships can turn into relationships. And I think that's something that on both men's side and women's side, that women maybe have their guard down a little bit in very
that
casual social settings.
that's the problem, though. A lot of men don't approach just for platonic relationship.
yeah.
They're approaching because
No,
they're
no, they might not. A lot. No, I agree with you.
That's because they're
A
struggling
lot might
dating.
not. But I know this anecdotes. I've had plenty where, we would go out on a few dates, we'd hang out. We didn't feel it, but we just stayed really good friends, and that was beneficial.
Are you asking
Mental
because
health.
you
Yeah,
like them
never
or
spend money
because it
on
just
dates.
turned into
Never
a
spend money
friendship?
on dates.
Two
What?
different things.
What?
Like, sorry, did you ask them because you were interested in them or because it just changed, like it just turned naturally to a friendship?
It just turned naturally into a friendship.
Well, that's what I mean. You probably approached thinking, oh, this person's
Yeah.
cute, we might get to know each other. And then,
Yeah, there were shared interests that we hit it off with eventually.
but let's just say if that person was interested, you guys probably would have hooked up or something. So what I'm saying
Yeah.
is that I think there's always a sexual undertone. And I think the problem with
Oh,
men,
yeah, I don't think you're ever going to get away from that. No.
yeah, is that on men's side especially, they cannot just be friends with women. There has to be another
Yeah,
level.
of course. You're absolutely 100%
You think
right.
women can just be friends with men without
100%.
that?
100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really?
Hey,
Yes.
hey,
It's
man,
But you
unlikely.
don't think men can do it?
he's
No, I
lying.
don't
I
think
think
men
it's harder for men.
I'll jump in here. So it's not
Yeah.
that it can't happen; it's that the likelihood, right? And in general,
okay,
I
yeah,
would say, in general, as a general trend, not true for all men, but as a general trend, men are more likely to push their platonic friends for sex, the female friends for sex,
yeah.
as opposed to female platonic friends pushing their male platonic friends for sex. I
You
think that
think?
generally speaking, that's more likely to happen. But I do have an
Yeah.
answer for you, and I have an answer for Wick. So your
Who's
question
you?
was, shouldn't women approach more? And I think the answer is absolutely yes. I think more women should approach. I think more women should ask men on dates. I think more women should do that. I think that's a good thing to do. But here's the deal, folks, and I'm looking at you men out there in the world, okay? If you want this world to exist, okay, then you have to be receptive to being asked, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm just going to be honest with you. I ask men on dates. I'm very forward. I'm very forward when I'm interested in somebody, okay? And there are lots of men who do not like that, okay? If you
Yeah.
want to be asked, then you have to be okay with being chased, okay? And
And
a
I
lot
won't
of men,
lie,
I'm
that
sorry,
Can I
do not like
respond to
that
that?
dynamic. And
that
that's
boggles my mind. I love
Yeah,
it
that
when I
that
get approached.
that makes me
I can
that's
always,
Wick,
wild to me that men
Wick,
would complain about
let
this,
me
but
respond to
whatever.
Dairy Queen. Let me
it
true.
goes
respond.
It's
both
true.
ways.
Wick, let me
Every all
respond to
these things
Dairy
go
Queen.
both
Let me
ways.
respond to Dairy Queen.
But
You're
the
right.
second thing is, nope, no, you can't respond to me because I'm answering the second question, which is Johnny's concern, which is how are you going to help how are you going to help people know and how to approach people, how to ask people
Yeah.
on dates? How do I know what a good relationship is? And this is something this was led by a feminist for me. It was a part of our sex education. It's one of the bright spots of it. Everything else sucked, but this part was good. It was a program. It was called Can I Kiss You? And it was led by a man, and he was going on behalf of his sister who was raped in college. And
Okay.
so what he would do is he would go to different high schools and he would demonstrate. He would pick out a boy, he would pick out a girl, he would have them sit on a stage on a couch, and they wouldn't actually kiss, but he would have them read out a script, basically saying, "Can I kiss you?" And they would practice enthusiastic consent, specifically asking, "Can I kiss you? Can I take you on and apart?" et cetera, in a very explicit way, right? There are lots of things that we do that are age appropriate ways
Yeah.
where we as adults can teach kids to how to have relationships. Cotillion is a really good example of this, right?
Can we
So
talk
for
now?
little kids, like where they have to dress up, the dads bring their little boys, the moms bring their
Yeah.
little girls, they practice like going on dancing, right? It's very
Yeah.
awkward and people
Yeah,
cried.
Dairy
Sisters
Queen,
can tell you that
Dairy
wasn't
Queen.
great. But the point is, there
This
are
is what
lots
I
of
mean.
things
This is what
like
I
that
mean.
we
There's
can
a
model.
man here.
Prom and homecoming is even a way to model that, right?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think that the answer to that question, one great thing that we could all probably agree on is we should have programs more like that in our sex education. More programs that talk not just about, how to avoid, hurting somebody, but how can you say something in a successful, like positive way? How can you ask people
Yeah.
out?
I mean,
think
I've
that's
thought about that, and I thought about adding outside of sex ed, just having kind of like a social curriculum class, social sociology class in like high schools to kind of get a better understanding of human behavior and why we react the way that we do, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
Um,
She's right. Men are not really
We have a
friends.
question for you, Omar, from the audience, by the way.
Oh.
Let me.
I'll let you respond. You can answer this question and respond, but they paid me. So,
Okay. All right. But let me answer, guys.
as an alpha male,
Yes.
are you man enough to rule the matriarchy? If so, how will you perform quantitative easing on the vagina market?
What the fuck did he say? Could you translate that? What he said? Say that again.
He- As an alpha male, are
Right.
you man enough to
Right.
rule the matriarchy? And if so, how will you perform quantitative easing on the vagina market?
Easy. I will have a law of arranged marriages. Everybody get to marry. The ugly, the fat, the beautiful, the blind, the one-eyed, the one-legged, the four-legged, whatever. Everybody gets to get married. Everybody has to have a wife. That's what they do in some countries in the Middle East. Hold on. Where I'm from the Middle East. There's some arranged marriages.
the alpha male here, guys.
Everybody gets
Forced
married.
marriages,
Everybody.
guys.
Hold on. Everybody gets married.
Forced marriages. You're gonna have sex whether you want to or not. Okay? No incels allowed here. Johnny, pick up your drink, man. Can you put your drink up here like this for me? Put it but closer to the screen. Closer to the screen, okay? Is it close to the screen? Yeah, there you go. Clink. 1, 2, 3. Clink. There we go. There we go.
Omar wanted to respond though, so let's give Omar some space to respond as well. So go ahead.
For me, right? What I
Yeah,
said,
you.
I just said it. The whole idea. They say if I ruled, if I was a ruler, right? That's
Yeah,
what.
but you said you wanted to respond to Fairy Queen. I'm
Oh,
giving you that
yeah.
chance.
Well, about the man friend, there's no such thing. Men cannot be friend with women. It's always they're always going to pressure out for sex, or they pretend they want it, but they're going to wait. If they try them, they're going to try it. Second of all, women don't have to ask for guys for a date. There's ways to do it. Just smile, become more presumptive, do some movement. That's how it starts. When I was in school, in high school, if a girl's like me, she'll smile at me, or if we're going down the stairs, she'll bump me with her arm, and it starts a
That's
conversation.
her trying to push you down the
Yeah,
stairs, but fair enough.
you don't have to be a butch. You don't have to be a butch and walk around. Look at, sit down, sit back, like a woman. Look all the girls next to you, how nice and soft they are. Please sit back, okay?
Okay, I'm gonna say the exact opposite. So, basically, so to the question of what more can women do, I think it all comes down to like the standards that women are asking of men. I think that um, I think that maybe it's just perception, but men feel like there's like just so much that they need to get into the door to even start
Yeah.
talking to women. And I think the approach issue is a big part of it. Like I think that if you're I think a huge percentage of these like men who are not getting into relationships, who are staying virgins until they're like in their like mid 20s, I think a lot of them are just kind of a little bit awkward. They don't have the best social skills. They can't really walk up to women and say like they can't make a good first impression. And I think a lot of times that women will just write them off a lot of times. And I think that if women could do literally, if I could ask any women to do anything to help dating, I would ask them to like give those guys a second chance.
I know, but still,
Do you have any specific woman in mind that you want to
I,
give you a second chance out of curiosity?
Your mom.
Oh, hey, my mom rejected you though. That's based of her.
I I
But go ahead,
I
Brittany.
do agree with Hammer. I do think that right now there, like again, there is a lot of unrealistic expectations on the younger men. Right? You'll see it's obviously done by social media and media and mainstream media as well. Right? A lot of younger women expect men in their early 20s to be financially stable, be making six figures, be owning a car, to do all these crazy things, and that sets
yeah.
up insecurities in their mind already. So I do agree that there are unrealistic expectations for men, and women are putting these pressures on men as well. And once they don't reach that goal, it's almost defeating. Like, I'm not going to get the woman I want because I don't have this, that, and the third.
And maybe it's just different experiences. I hear the six-figure thing a lot in these spaces, and I'm not saying it's exactly wrong. Like I agree that in general, a man who has a good job and like who is, who's able to support himself, I agree that who's a bit taller is generally somebody that's more attractive, right? But I have to be honest with you, outside of the online space of Twitch poll and the Red Pill spaces, I've never heard a woman tell me that, at least women that I know personally, like in real life, that they need their husband to make at least these six figures. That's an online thing. I have never.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
no,
that's
yeah,
that's like an
I
online and like East
Yeah.
Coast, West Coast thing.
yeah,
Like,
but
in the majority of
I'm saying
America,
that
no.
a lot of young adults are consuming this type of
Yeah.
media on social platforms. So it's kind of bringing down men from an early age, saying, okay, I need this, that, I need to have a lot of money, I need to invest in Bitcoin, I need to do crypto, I need to have a large bank account to get the woman that I want. And they're only like 18 years old, right?
Yeah.
And that's very defeating, and it makes them feel insecure, like I don't have this yet, how am I supposed to get this? And it puts a lot of pressure on men at a young age. I think that plays into why men may be feeling awkward or uncomfortable in these spaces.
Oh, yeah,
So I
for
agree.
sure.
I agree that there is a lot of pressure on men to be successful. I do think that's true. And I do think some women certainly do say those things, right? But I want to offer a counter example, right? And this is a counter example, at least I've seen, and I've dated a few people like this, right? Where you have, a man who is very attractive, is fairly attractive, right? But he plays the guitar but he doesn't make a lot of money, right? He has a job that doesn't make barely any money, but he's amazing at the guitar, right? Or he's an excellent writer, right? Or he can sing really well, or he has some sort of skill, right? That he is known for, right?
It's
So
a
he doesn't
passion.
he doesn't make a whole lot of money, right? But he is known he's known in the community for like doing something like that, right? So I think that like for a lot of people, I think that the purpose of the money, it's not just because of the things you can buy. It's not just a number that's on the page, right? It's because of the social status that it signifies about you, right? Like, and I think there are other ways that you can still make something of yourself without necessarily being, the six figure making tons of money, right? A simple one would be playing the guitar, right? Being really good at coding, right? Being really good at, whatever skill you can think of, right? I've met so many guys, right, who do not make any money, who live in some of the crummiest apartments you can make, but they can sing and they can play the guitar and they're great musicians and they pull girls, guys. They are popular with ladies.
That's a true fact. Most musicians live off women.
Sorry, I just wanted to go back to Brittany's point, though, just to say that I did actually really agree with you when you said that there's an expectation of young men, especially, and especially coming out of high school, I noticed. But I do think it is perpetuated by other men in the media, and I think we have to be very careful because I do think a lot of these young guys, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, are seeing all these like rich dudes get all these ladies. They have a ton of money. They're buying these nice cars, and they think they need to live that exact same life. And I think that's why we're seeing them not go into the trades as much, or they're trying to become like drop shippers, right? And I think that's something we really need to get to the heart of, because I think that's where we're going to see a lot of young men struggling, right? They're not pursuing higher education. They're kind of stuck in like this little like online world, right? They're only seeing what they see on social media, and they think that applies to everyone. And that's the same thing on the women's side. If you're 20 years old, a 20-year-old man is not making over like even $40,000 a year. That's a lot of money, at least at that age, right? They have to build themselves up. So I do think on the women's side, we do need to be more rational when we see these young men who are trying, right? I really think at the end of the day, it's just about trying. It's just a partnership.
Yeah, I mean, as
Before
long
we
as
go
you
on,
can
before we
see
go on,
them
just a
having the
housekeeping thing.
drive.
Just a housekeeping thing. A lot of people are asking, am I going to open this up afterwards for an open panel? Yes, if we can get 8 more subs in chat, I will absolutely do that.
Get
Or
those
if we can get
subs.
40 more bucks in super chats, one of the two. But right now, I got to grab something real quick. Be good while I'm gone. Don't say any slurs. So I'll be back in like 20 seconds. Give
I'll
me a second.
say partial slurs.
Oh, we gotta start yelling at each other. Okay, Dairy Queen, listen, you gotta relax, okay? If you want to attract men, if you want to,
You gotta stop being gross, man. You've said a lot of stuff on here. I gotta say, this like just not okay to say to people, right? Do you just talk like this, like whenever you come on to panels?
What did I say?
Like, this is not
Yes, he
okay.
does. Yes, he
This is
does.
ridiculous. This is so weird. Like, I don't know why you do this. Like, this is
What's worse
bizarre.
is I truly don't think he understands he does.
What did I say?
Like, do you understand that like saying things like the vagina market is kind of a gross thing to say? Like, nobody likes hearing that stuff.
Is it vagina a medical term? What do you want to say? The P? Which is better?
I don't want you to refer to genitals at all. That's what I'm saying. Right? Genital talking about that kind of stuff is gross. That's weird.
We all
Most people don't want to hear about their genitals when they're talking about stuff.
You can say dating market.
Yeah, there's a
dating market would be the
Bingo.
normal thing to say.
Who's this guy?
That'd be the normal thing
Johnny,
to say,
take
yes.
it easy.
But we decided not to be normal. And to be the invisible man.
You jump with the
be that as it may.
What's this invisible man? What's wrong with you?
You look like the invisible man. You've got the glasses, you've got the hat, you've got like the shirt, right? All you need is the trench coat and the gloves, right? And like the bandaged face, right? I feel like you walk
I'm blind. Hello, I'm blind.
Hello. On the top of your hat, right? You've got a mysterious
I'm blind.
We have to figure out. That's what you look like right now.
I'm blind. I can't see. You know, I'm legally blind. That's why I have glasses on. You want to see how my eyes are crooked? What's wrong with you?
I don't know, but I don't want to see with the hat, man. That's just rude.
Wait, don't you sit on stream reading articles?
I don't wear hats and stuff. That's a 1950s point, by the way. Don Draper would snatch that thing off your head and stuff it in your coat pocket if he saw you with a hat inside.
That's the new name of the what do you call them? The Cubs? What do you call them? The what do you call
Wick.
Well, okay, but I don't know what we're talking about anymore.
They all ganged up on me. You left. Everybody jumped at me. I don't know what's going on.
Well, I'm here to protect you, Omar.
Thank you.
Don't worry. I'll protect you from the ladies.
Well,
I don't think anybody said anything
beat
to
him off
him.
with a stick. I don't know. I guess my next. I guess let's ask this, right? When, and I want to ask this to the ladies first, and then I'll ask the men. When's the last time you felt, I guess, creeped out, right, by a guy or someone coming on to you or things like that? And what was it that made you creeped out about the encounter? What did the guy do, or how did he present himself, or how did he approach that made you feel like, ugh, something's wrong here? It doesn't have to be anything big. And I want to kind of maybe from that kind of transition into how men are taught to approach or see to approach that is fucked up and wrong. And I want to get into that. But we'll start with Fairy and we'll go around. Go ahead,
I'm
Fairy.
so sorry. I did not hear a word you just said, so don't start
Wow.
with me.
Okay, we'll start with
Sorry.
Moon then.
I'm
Moon,
sorry.
did you hear what I was saying? Were you paying attention or do I have to just
I heard.
repeat? Okay, what do
Um,
you think?
I think mine was like a couple weeks ago. I was standing like just outside the mall, like waiting for an Uber. And this guy came up to me. I could see him from like the corner of my eye. And like at this point, it's like you're done shopping, you just want to go home. And he's like hanging around, but you can tell when someone's staring at you. He came up, he said hello, he didn't do anything creepy, but he got like very close, like when someone's in your personal space. That I had to like take a step back. And I don't like when people do that, right? Like there should be some nice distance. Um, and then like just asking me personal questions like where am I from, what's my background, like things like that. I just don't think that's how you approach somebody.
Normal stuff.
It's just no, I don't think that's inherently normal. Like I don't know, I think it's weird, especially getting in someone's personal space. I just think is really odd. So
Okay,
that was
well,
definitely creepy.
we'll get to these, gang. We'll critique them if you want, right? I don't
Yes.
you don't have to, but I want to get through it. Brittany, what do you think? What's your answer here?
Um, oh my gosh, when was the last time I was approached? I'm gonna go back to like one that really stands out to me was when I was in college and I went to a party and I was meeting up with someone I thought was my friend afterwards. We go to his house. I was drunk. I just wanted to sleep. Anyways, he tried to make advances at me, got really weird, and I was like, this is not okay. I'm gonna remove myself from the situation. So, like, yeah, that dynamic threw me off.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was talking more like a cold approach though, right? Like, so someone
Oh,
who does
okay. Well, I
that makes sense?
guess.
Mhm.
I don't know. I haven't been approached in a very long time. I don't leave my house, so
Fair enough, fair
it
enough.
doesn't.
Okay. Fairy Queen, well, you got a
Okay.
story for us? Yeah, just a
The
quick
last
anecdote?
time I was creeped out. Okay, well, that was today, courtesy of the man on the lower right hand corner. That was some weird shit you said tonight, man. I'm sorry. That was bizarre. But if you want to ask me a time when I've been creeped out, I do have a story. I will try to be brief with it, but it is a tale, okay? I was about
Oh, here we
14 at the
go. Here we
time.
go.
When I was in, I was going with my family. We were in Alaska. We were in a lodge, okay? And I'm a part of a big family. My family's a military family. We have 5 kids. I'm the eldest of 5. And my dad brought everybody to the downstairs to give everybody breakfast, okay? And he gave me the breakfast and told me to go upstairs, give this to your mom, right? So I go to the elevator, and a man comes into the elevator, and he stands in the back of the elevator, right? And he doesn't say anything. I go up, I give my mom the breakfast. She says, okay, why don't you take the bags downstairs? I take the bags, I go into the elevator. A man comes into the elevator. The same guy, immediately I come into the elevator. Elevator goes down, I bring the bags. Dad says, did you bring your mom coffee? No, I didn't bring my mom coffee. So I go and I bring my mom coffee. I go back upstairs. The man comes into the elevator exact same time as me. The elevator goes up. I go into there, right? She's continuing to pack things up. And this goes by and by over and over again. And the man immediately
It's a
comes in,
lifetime
stands
story.
nothing,
This is a
right?
come on,
Then
man.
last thing happens,
Wait,
okay?
what is
Mom
this?
gives me the baby, okay? So I have the baby in my hand, my baby sister. I go up to the elevator. He comes up in middle. It was so creepy and weird. He comes in, and I'm sitting there with the baby. I'm 14, and he looks at me right in the eye, and he says, "You're a beautiful mother." Just like that. And it was so freaking creepy. And then immediately the elevator dings. I go out and I put the baby in the car seat and we drive away. And I think I'm going to forget about this, right? This is so weird, right? Then within the week, we are on an Alaskan cruise, right? We're on this boat. And as we're on the cruise, inside of the boat, I look behind myself with me and my family, and he's sitting there right behind me, staring at me on the boat. And he's been watching me this entire time. And he kept watching me as I brought my sisters all the way up to the bow of the boat to get away with him. That was the creepiest thing that is one of the creepiest things that has ever happened to me. End story, end rant. Sorry. That was a story though.
What do you think about this, guys?
Oh, thank God.
Well, that's one strategy that I can't rely on anymore.
Sorry, that's probably not
Um,
what we're looking for, Wick, but got excited.
No, it's fine. I
I didn't answer. How about me? You get to me. What? I'm not human.
do you have a creepy story of where you were approached, Omar, that you want to share?
No,
Go
I've
ahead.
never been creeped out by a woman because I'm always in the position not to be. Women do not creep me out. Second of all, what these girls just proved that they need a man in their life to protect them. That's why men are the protector of the woman. You see how that proved my point right there? They're all scared of guys. They need a man, a husband to protect them. That's what men are
Not,
for.
not what
Monkey.
these stories prove is that women need to become gun owners. This is what this proves,
No, it
okay?
doesn't. You need a
Women need to go
husband to
to the gun
protect you.
range. We need to go for gun rights, guns for
Rick,
feminism, okay?
am I right
That's
or
what
am
this
I right,
means.
Rick? Am I right or am I right, Rick? That's
I
what
am just a moderator. I
they
make no
just proved
decisions.
to you that they need protectors. The husbands and the boyfriends are
I
how the
promise you
protectors.
that I think that these women can take care of themselves. I'm pretty
They
sure.
got this one. He asked her name, whatever. That's normal stuff. She got creeped out because he have a personal
I
space.
mean,
The other one saw
he's
the guy in Alaska in an elevator. She got scared. I don't know what the other one said. This is
no, but like for example, when you first, because you don't even know me, if you meet
that's how
someone, you
people
don't
start. You're like, hi, how
but,
are
but,
you?
but
Hey,
you don't get
what's
in their personal space. Like you don't get
when
so
I was
close to them where they
when I
have to
was in
take a step back.
college,
Also,
I meet a girl. Hey, hi, how you doing? What's your name? We went to the
no,
lunchroom. I like, yo, what's
this
up?
isn't
Yeah.
college.
Where
This
you
isn't
from?
college. This is me
Oh,
outside the mall,
oh,
right?
in the
Just
mall. Okay,
into
okay, yeah, yeah. Okay, I
waiting
agree.
for an
Okay.
Uber, right? And I assume if it was anybody, you don't want this random man in your personal space asking you
I
where you're
agree,
from,
but
what
that's
your
how people
background is.
meet. It has to start somewhere.
Yeah,
What I, a
but it
fire,
doesn't.
guys, you gotta maybe that's why guys are scared to meet you because you got my personal space. The guy starts running, the cops are chasing him, everybody
What,
chasing him because he
Cops are
asked a
chasing
question,
him.
and the fire
chasing
and
him.
the fire department show up. The SWAT team is not looking for the guy. The guy goes home and he kills himself. That's what happened.
What? How
Okay.
did you
Okay.
Okay.
I do want to take a minute here just to
Oh, you're taking a
something in.
lot of minutes
With the
there.
idea that women, the idea, like it's very interesting that Omar mentioned this idea, right? That women need to have protection, right?
Other
Like there's
men, yeah.
this is one of the hypocrisies, like about the cup, right? And this is it, right? If something had happened to that girl, right? Let's say the story didn't go well, right? Let's say that he didn't offer her the cup, right? And let's say that she goes off in the middle of the night from Starbucks and she actually is assaulted. I guarantee you there would be so many conservative people that would be saying, why were you out at night? What do you need to be in a Starbucks in the middle of the night? Why were you
Yeah,
talking to some random stranger man in the middle of the night? What were you wearing? These are the questions that
what
are
time?
asked women,
What
right?
time at night?
You
What
do not
time?
get to have these, you do
What
not get to
time?
have it both ways. You
What
don't
time?
get to say on the one hand
What
that
time we
men
talking
are
about?
dangerous
What time
and
we
you should
talking
be
about?
careful about how you conduct yourself out in public. But at the same time, oh my goodness, you're saying that men are evil? Men have all these things? Like, let's be
Yeah,
real. Like,
men are evil.
conservative men
Yeah,
say this and believe this about men themselves, right?
yeah,
That's why they
yeah.
shame women for what they wear. That's why they shame women for when they drink.
Okay.
That's when they shame women for
I
going out
agree
in
with
public
you.
and in
I
the middle
agree
of the
with
night.
you.
They do it because they
Hold on,
believe
hold on,
that
hold
men
on.
are
Relax.
dangerous too,
Put a
and then
couple
they
names.
lie and say
I
that they don't
agree.
believe
I
it,
agree
right?
with you.
And then they put the onus of this
Okay.
all on feminism when that's never been true.
All right, right. I agree with you. Men are evil. We're gonna protect you from other evil men. I'm not saying men are evil. Yes. What are you talking
Okay,
about?
Mooncake.
I don't think men are evil.
Those,
I
I
don't
those
don't
think
think
men
others
men
are
are
evil.
evil
are.
either.
What I'm saying
Mooncake.
is,
Oh no, the rapists, the muggers, they're not evil. The
listen, you
scumbags.
can say all that, but then the next time a woman is assaulted or something happens to her, you better not ask her a single thing about her
Time out.
choices, right? You should never ask her, well,
She
you
should
shouldn't
not.
have done this. Well, you shouldn't have done that.
She
Well,
should
why
have
did you
been
talk to him?
home. She should
You
have
do
been
Yeah.
not
home. She should have
say
been
a
home at
single one of
night.
those things to
Okay.
her the next time
Oh my
something
Don't
like
God.
you
this
go out at
happens.
Okay,
night?
enough.
Why
I'm
you
gonna
didn't
You
go
start
at
don't.
muting
night?
people.
You just
I'm gonna
Why?
don't.
start muting people.
You know
Stop.
what?
Okay, we gotta get to we
Wick.
gotta get through it. We're running on
Men are
we're
more
running
assaulted than
towards the
women,
end of
by the
this.
way. You
And I
know
want to
that,
remind my
statistic?
audience, if you want this to continue, if you want this to open up, I ain't
So,
gonna do it for free. You gotta pay the man, okay? You gotta pay me.
how
So
much
we
you
need
looking for?
8
How
more
much?
subs in chat or $40 more in super chats. One or
Bring
the
in the
other.
money.
So yeah, give me money. But I
Look how
hear
handsome Wick
from
is. He
Come on,
deserves
guys.
it.
Mooncake. Go ahead.
Um, no, I just thought it was interesting because when sorry, I always keep forgetting. When Empowered Man said the thing about men, it's like and like my story about being at the mall, it's like you're saying I need a man to protect me. Yeah, protect me from other men. So
Yeah.
if I find this man to be creepy, if I'm like, oh, that's a weird interaction, you should be like, okay, good. Because if something would have happened, you would have said to me, why would I go off with this man? Why would I give this
Yeah,
man my information, right? It's better
exactly.
if I actually
You can
don't
say
give this
no.
man
You can say no. You don't have to be fake. You're gonna say, "Excuse me, I'm busy."
and
That's it.
I keep myself safe, right?
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think
but
that's just you have to consider. Unfortunately, and it is unfortunate, men commit most of the violent sexual crimes. So
Hmm.
yes, we do have to have our
okay.
guard.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with you 100%. That
You're
there are evil men. I'm not saying that. That's why you need a husband or the. What I'm saying is that you have every right to say no. and not talk to anybody if you don't want to. This is your right. I'm not saying if you feel uncomfortable, just tell them, listen, I'm busy. My
So
boy.
we shouldn't say that women shouldn't be concerned if they're
But
worried about men
but
coming up to them.
to go out in the middle of the night to get coffee, you deserve to get a beating. Because I wouldn't go out. I'd be scared to go out in the middle of the night to get a
Wait,
coffee.
My
See, that's just that's just
Omar,
God.
no,
insane.
wait, no, you cannot say that. I'm
I would
sorry,
be
Omar.
scared. No, I'd be scared to go out in the
Omar,
middle of
I'm
the night.
sorry, but we can't have you saying you deserve to get beaten
I say
on
people
this.
who
It's
go
against
out,
thought.
in the
Yeah.
middle
Going
of
to
the
get a
night,
coffee.
guys who go out, you're always kicking me out.
Shut up, bitch.
Can't believe he's always kicking me out. I want to be safe. I want to be safe.
Hey Omar,
Yeah, what's up?
how much did you pay for your YouTube subs?
Who's talking to me?
It doesn't
Not
matter.
me.
I'm just curious. I'm just curious how much you paid for your
No,
YouTube subs.
I didn't pay for it. It was an Arabic channel. It's not my channel. I don't even own it. I used to own a small channel of 8,000 subs. It was Arabic and
Oh,
shorts. It was short. It wasn't mine. Somebody gave it
Hey,
to me.
I got a
they
question.
gave it to you. Okay.
Where are
I got a
where, where
Does
question.
it make you
yeah.
feel any kind of way to know that like you inherited a channel with 2.5 million subs or some shit like
Yeah,
that?
it doesn't know.
You can't get 2,500 views on those videos on
Yeah,
that
I
channel.
mean,
That's that's pretty funny.
yeah, I know. Well, I'm a loser. You want to say that? Who's this? I can't even see you. Who's this?
Yeah. That's pretty much what I'm getting at. Yeah, you're a fucking loser. Yeah,
You're a
you figured it
pussy.
out.
You're
That's
a
pretty
pussy.
good for you.
You're a
I got a
pussy.
question.
Dude,
I got a
what would you do?
Uh,
I'd smack the fuck out of you, bro. What are you talking about?
shut
I
Like,
the
got a
fuck
question.
pussy.
I got a
up.
question. I got a question. Let me ask a question. All right. Hey, so you said that women should have men to protect you, right? Protect them, right? So listen, I'm a 300-pound former wrestler.